WSTG TV.
Hi everybody, I'm Mark Spencer. I'm the Director of Art and Theater for the Gary Community School Corporation. You are watching WSTG TV. Now today's event is entitled Black History Month Celebration, and Westside Theater Guild has had a rich legacy of over 29 years of products on our large stage and in this very space, our Studio A at WSTG TV. We're going to be looking at archival footage from Coretta Scott King, as well as many performances of our students for the last, I would say, over the last 29, 30 years. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And don't turn that channel. We'll be back in a moment.
And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, I'll never forget that day. I stepped into that free state of Pennsylvania. There was a glory over everything. The sun had just come up, and it looked like gold through the trees and over the fields, and I felt like I was in heaven. I had to look down at my hands to see if I was the same person. Now that I was free, I was free, I was free. Look at me, I was free. Moaning. Sorry. Hot D. But I was a stranger in a strange land, and all of my family and friends were still slaves back in Maryland, and I missed them so much. And then my mind tells me that I will never be free until all of my family and friends were free, and that's when I decided to go back and get them. I made the trip once, and I knew I could do it again and again with the Lord's help. So I got me a job. I cooked, I cleaned, I scrubbed floors, I washed pots and pans, because I knew I would need money when I made it back in slave territory. I talked to the agents, I talked to the conductors, I talked to Frederick Douglass, and I took all that learning and I went back south 19 times and brought 300 of my family and friends to the land of the free. Thank you. And on my Underground Railroad, I never lost a passenger, and my train never ran off the track. I remember one time an old slave said to me, "Heck, it's cold up north. I'd rather be a slave than to freeze to death." Dead slaves can't talk. You go free or die. Listen, if he goes back, Master would beat him until he turned traitor. He would tell the hiding places, the stopping places, the names of the people who helped us. The white folks would be ruined, and the colored folks would be hanging from the nearest tree. I told him, "I don't know about you, but I'm tired of being treated like a dog, worked like an ox, driven like a mule, and beat like a man. If being cold is part of the price you have to pay for being free, then you'll just have to be cold. You go free or die." Thank ya. Like I said, I never lost a passenger. All my peoples, they love me, 'cause I was Harriet Tubman, the main conductor of the Underground Railroad.
want to share with you a number from an original musical we produced and wrote back in 2006. The book was written by Ben Clement, and the arrangements and music was written by George Johnson and yours truly. This piece is entitled Steel, and it's one of our favorite. Take a look.
Working and working in anticipation and working and working and we build this nation. Working and working and so hard I'm trembling. Working and working and so hot I cannot breathe. All day long, standing still. Lord, 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 Lord. Work. To believe, working and working so hard I cannot see. Working and working and standing for hours in. Working and working and the cycle starts again. All day long, standing still. Lord, 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 Lord. Trembling, working and working, so hot I cannot breathe. So hot I cannot breathe. So hot I cannot breathe.
Hey folks, take a look at one of our classic lyrics performances.
Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute, nor built to the fashion model size. But as I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride in my step, and the curl of my lips. 'Cause I'm a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me.
I walk into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man, the fellows stand or fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me, hive of honeybees, you know. I say, it's the fire in my eyes, the flash in my teeth, the swing of my waist, the joy of my feet. 'Cause I'm a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me.
Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say it's the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, and the grace of my style. 'Cause I'm a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me.
Now you wonder just why my head's not bowed?
I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud.
When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say it's the click of my heels,
The bend of my hair.
The palm of my hand.
and the need of my care.
'Cause I'm a woman.
Phenomenal woman, that's me.
You're watching WSTG TV.
All right, now wave your hands in the air. Wave them like you just don't care. Somebody scream. Yeah, so y'all, that's my new hit single, Shake Your Cigarette Butts. From my new album, Smoke 'em If You Got It. It's in stores now. Yeah. Now go pick that joint up and tell them I sent you. Time to pump up, y'all. Pump up. Somebody got a light. Come on up here, ladies. Who wanna light my fire? Don't be scared, ladies, 'cause I ain't. What's wrong? I know y'all ain't afraid of no carcinogen. Y'all ain't telling the profiles of chemicals that they say in cigarette smoke. Cigarette smoke? I know y'all ain't afraid of no lung cancer. I mean, come on. I ain't afraid of nothing. Now who got a light? What's wrong with y'all? I know y'all ain't afraid of secondhand smoke. I know y'all ain't afraid of this little old square. Afraid it'll give you respiratory infection. Afraid it'll give you asthma. Go get y'all a heart attack. I know y'all ain't scared that the smoke gon' linger in the room and get in your blood vessels long after the show is over. What's wrong with y'all? Y'all afraid to die? Well, I ain't. Go ahead, man. Somebody gonna help me out? Y'all just gonna leave me down here? Oh Lord, I can't feel my leg.
Folks, we are back. Thank you so much for hanging with us in the new WSTG TV studio. To my left is the incredibly gifted and talented Mrs. Passion Jefferson. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Man, and folks, if you didn't know, Passion is the theater instructor at GMS, which is Gary Middle School for Visual and Performing Arts. And man, it's just an honor to have you in the house today.
It's an honor to be here.
Man,
thank you.
You know, we were talking beforehand, and we're always chopping it up with the group. And this is a long time coming. This is, and we're just happy that you're a part of this process as we get it out of the starting gate here. So I wanted to ask you a few questions, and I won't hold you long, but I just had to have you in it. With all that we're dealing with, what has it been like? You know, this teaching experience virtually. What has this experience been for you?
So it has been challenging, like I'm sure many other teachers who teach other subjects have realized.
Yep.
But I also realized that it has been extremely beneficial in itself as well. Okay. Because I look at being virtual as another form of art. It's the media, right? It's visual arts.
That's true.
And so I use that as kind of like my leverage to navigate my classes. Mm-hmm. So I do a lot of visual presentations. Mm-hmm. I like to, put color and different things like that onto
That's
my.
That's
so I try
great.
to make sure that I put all of that in there. This week they watched a musical on YouTube. So like it's actually helping for the most part.
Well, that's. Do you have any activities specifically to keep them engaged in this new environment? Are there some things that you're doing? Or?
So I like to have improv games at the end of
always useful.
Always useful, right?
I agree.
And so when I teach my classes, whatever we are working on, so right now we are in the second quarter and we're working on the body. So we're doing a lot of pantomiming, we're doing a lot of tableau and different things like that. So a lot of the improv is based off of that, making different human props with your body.
Absolutely.
And just really getting connected with that.
So talk to me about that a little bit.
So I actually wrote this a year before.
Excellent.
Yeah,
okay.
And so my vision was to create some type of musical. I didn't know how this was going to be aired or be showed to an audience.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just writing, and it came to me because I'm a big history buff, and I love like empowering Black people and just our culture and different things like that. It's so amazing to me. And so I was like looking at how we started as kings and queens, and I realized a lot of us have forgotten that, or we don't know that part of our history.
Fair enough.
And so what the young man was, or the young kid was saying, he was reminding people who they are. You are special, you are important, you are royalty, you come from something great. And I feel like if we start with that foundation, then no one can tell us what we can and what we cannot do. And so that's what really motivated me to write the script.
Passion, that was well done.
Thank
That was
you.
well done. I need to know, you give 110% over at the school. I know you do, but there are other endeavors that you're working on outside of GMS. Would you mind sharing any other projects you're working on right now? I know there are many. I know. See, I have the inside scoop, but I need to hear from the source because it's some great stuff. What else are you working on?
So, cat's out the bag. I'm actually working on a screenplay. Actually, the screenplay is completed.
Awesome.
And it's an animated film, and it's faith-based. It's a family film, and it's about finding your purpose in life and second chances and being able to go back and, really look at your mistakes that you've made and try to correct them. Or, if you come across it again, how are you going to navigate through it the second time or the third time or fourth time for some of us? I'm a witness.
Amen. Amen.
So that's what that's about. And then I'm currently working on a musical.
Okay.
And I'm working on another screenplay, which I'm still in the process of those, but I'm really, really excited for, this next chapter in my life.
No, I'm excited for you, and I've had the chance to take a peek at a few things, and I'm just going to tell the viewing audience, you're in for an awesome, awesome surprise. Look for this wonderfully talented lady and her products and her artistic voice in weeks and years to come. And I just want to thank you for coming through today and sharing with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed speaking with you.
It's a pleasure. Folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment. Hi, everyone. I want you to take a look now at an interview that I conducted in the mid-90s. It was with civil rights icon Andrew Young. Now, I had petitioned and requested for an interview, and when I was finally given the green light, I was told to get to Detroit as soon as humanly possible. And I was to wait in a cubicle at the Joe Louis Arena. Of course, I was excited and just so it was a wonderful opportunity. So please take a look. Hope you enjoy it.
Hello, I'm Andrew Young, used to be mayor of Atlanta and used to be ambassador to the United Nations and used to be congressman, but I'm still very interested in young people, and I still have lots of friends in Gary. And it's good to be talking to young people in Gary because Gary is an important place. I almost came to Gary as a preacher when I left seminary, but instead went to Georgia. I often wondered what it would have been like if I'd gone to Gary instead of going to Georgia. Well, I tell you, it's important for young people and old people to remember, as the old folks say, how I got over. The Bible is basically the story of how the children of Israel made it out of Egypt and how it was the power of God that brought them out of Egypt in slavery and led them to a promised land. Martin Luther King described our struggle that way also, that there was a time that we were all slaves. There was a time that for 100 years where it was totally legally segregated. In breaking down legal segregation and putting an end to slavery, we created the conditions that made it possible for you young people to be as free as you are. But you won't be completely free unless you understand how you got free, because people are always trying to re-enslave you. They don't put chains on your legs anymore, they put chains on your mind. And if they can convince you that you can't get by without plastic credit, that a certain person's name on a suit is worth spending $10 more for, they got your mind. And if you understand how our system works, how it was important for us to challenge public education so that we had educational opportunity, how it was important for people to have a sense of political freedom and the right to vote and to elect their own elected officials, so that the economic opportunity and their own faith in God, these were the things that brought us over. And for you to be able to continue to grow and develop, it'd be helpful for you to know what it was that made it possible for your parents and grandparents to make it, to get you where you are today. Well, the day we lost Martin Luther King to an assassin's bullet, Martin Luther King was raising the question of poverty. And he said simply that America couldn't exist with people isolated on lonely islands of poverty in the midst of this ocean of material wealth. That was a frightening notion, because it was no longer just black people. He said America didn't need anybody poor, and the Poor People's Campaign brought together black people, Hispanics, Asians, Native Americans, poor whites, because he saw the enemy not in race or in color, but in economic opportunity. That was a very challenging notion to the system of democracy. He had also challenged the country racially to the point where people felt that he was more powerful than the president. But his power was moral power. But people feared that, and I think that's the reason he was killed. But what he preached and what he lived for has gone on. Ralph Abernathy said at the time of his assassination that you can slay the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream. And what we've seen is the dream rise and explode all over the place, so that even when the Berlin Wall came down in Germany, people were singing "We Shall Overcome." That was, in a way, a tribute to our civil rights movement and to Martin Luther King, that his spirit has gone abroad and been responsible for helping many, many people to want to be free. Well, one you can read all the way back to Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was a slave, and he saw the slave master teaching his children to read, and he started looking over the shoulder, listening to the words, trying to teach himself to read. The slave master caught him and beat him, and told his wife, "Don't let that boy hang around, because if you teach a nigger to read, you can't make a slave out of him." Well, Frederick Douglass then not only learned to read, but he wrote his autobiography is one of the most articulate and brilliant books, because he understood that the key to freedom is in your mind, and it's in your ability to read and have access to information. When we were looking at, when we were pointing, it was because all of the policemen were coming to where Martin Luther King had been shot. And we were saying the shot came from over there. Go over there and see who did it. But they really I don't think they wanted to know who did it.
WSTG TV.
Here's another one of my favorites from one of our past lyrics performances.
Hey, y'all. What's going on? Y'all having a good time so far? Come on, make some noise. Y'all having a good time so far? That's what's up. Once again, my name is Lehman, and Mr. Spencer, y'all know Mr. Spencer? Okay, well, he like pushed me out the back, and a while ago we had a meeting about songs, what we're gonna sing, what we're gonna do, and he had this list, and we all was like, nah, we ain't singing them songs. But since it's Mr. Spencer, I ain't got no choice. So, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, these songs is whack. I'm just saying. It ain't my fault. Blame Mr. Spencer. All right? So, first song, can I get a drum roll, please? I'll tell you about the band, boy. Sweet Home Alabama. For real? Y'all like that song? For real? Here we go, Sweet Home Alabama. If y'all know, I want to see y'all clap. Come on. Woo! Yeah! Woo! Y'all get. Big wheels keep on turning. Buy me home to see my kid. And you standing up. Oh my goodness. Singing songs about the Southland. Well, I guess you know what I'm talking about. I miss my Alabama once again, and I think it's a sin. Hey, sweet home Alabama. What's the next word? Sing the next one, right? Come on. Sweet home Alabama. Y'all ain't know them words. Lord, I'm coming home to you. That's just like us. What's the next word? Alabama. Where the down or the boo. I know that. You were standing up. Okay. I don't like none of these songs and y'all clapping. I wish Smokey Robinson was here. Y'all like Smokey Robinson? Put me in A flat. Put me in A flat. This is my Smokey impression, y'all. Y'all ready? Don't make me laugh because I'm silly. Are y'all ready? Really gonna miss you. Really gonna miss you, my buddy. Sorry you had to go. I miss you, my buddy. I see the lady back like, what? Smokey! You're going crazy for Smokey. Look at the second song, man. Hit the drum roll for me. Yeah, he missed that one note. Y'all ain't hear it, though. He missed that. He skipped over a note. All right, Good Times. You talking about the TV show Good Times? All right, I'm gonna come in the audience on this one. Y'all gotta help me sing this. Y'all know this? Y'all, everybody in this room should know this here song. Y'all better stand up and sing this song with me. Hit it, man, let's go. Just looking out of the window, watching the asphalt grow, thinking about how it all looks heavy now. Oh yeah, sing it! Sing the word! Temporary layoff. Scratching and surviving. Hanging in a trailer. Ain't we lucky we got 'em? Oh, oh, good time. Yeah. Y'all remember that portion at the end? All right, so, get my notes. All right, we did Sweet Home Alabama. Good Times. Y'all like Ray Charles? I love Ray Charles. Well, I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Look at all the young folks. What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, I don't know that. All right, last song. Band, drum roll, please. That's how y'all feel? That's what we on tonight, for real? Okay, all right. It's not unusual. Who sing that? Y'all know this stuff? I don't like nan one of these songs. Yeah, I said nan, I know it ain't a word, but nan one of them I don't like. Come on, band, let's go. Come on, sing along. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Thank you. It's not unusual to have fun with the world. When you see me hanging around with the world. Thank you. It's not unusual to see me cry. I wanna die. Sweet Home Alabama. Good times. And it's not unusual.
And we are back. And you know, I'm here with my dear friend, Mr. Joe Peterson. He's the visual arts instructor for Westside Leadership Academy. And we were just talking during the break. We go back so far, like probably over 24 years?
My first memory of you is playing guitar at my cousin's.
Oh my God,
you forgot about
that. Many moons ago. Oh my gosh. I mean, we've studied together at IU and Calumet College of St. Joseph, right? So our journeys, we've had these parallel journeys, and when I had hair, people would often mistaken me for Joe, and Joe would be mistaken for me.
Yes, all the time.
The ponytail days are gone. 24 years of ponytail was enough. Thank you for being here, man.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Listen, and for taking time out of your schedule. Brother, we're dealing with an awful lot right now, and March 13th was a very significant day. I think it was the last time we were officially in the buildings, and we were asked to go home for this new adventure, this new experience. So I just wanted to know, has it been less or more difficult for you during this e-learning experience? How's it been?
Change is always difficult. So at first, it was like, no, I don't want to do this.
Right.
Why do we have to do this? But, once you kind of just say, hey, this is what we got to do, get our kids taught, you make those adjustments and you get to it. So adapting to the technology wasn't that hard. I like technology. I've always used it.
Sure have.
So we're definitely using technology a lot more in the classroom. And for those of us that can accept technology and use it a lot, it's been pretty easy. I actually like it better.
No, Joe has always been progressive. In terms of technology, he's always been on the cutting edge of those fronts, and it shows in his work. What's the best thing about teaching right now? If you had to just glean one or two things, I mean, no, we didn't want to do it, and God bless us for where we're at, but what's the best thing that you can pull from that right now?
The best thing for right now is it's made us improve, I think, at least in my case, in being organized. You have to be more organized.
You must.
Everything is recorded and documented and through email and texts and through the Google Classroom that we're using. So you have to be on top of things. It gives the students a better chance sometimes to check on, like, hey, how come I got this grade?
Right.
And they can send messages back and forth, and it's just a little bit more instantaneous information.
For all the pieces that you've brought for us to take a peek at today, just talk about one really quickly that caught your eye and we could share with the audience.
Okay, so right now, this week, we're studying color theory, color wheel, how colors are mixed together. So all of the assignments that we've done up to now have just been kind of like tutorials, practice, learning some basic skills. They weren't that real interesting, but now that we're starting in the second 9 weeks, now we're applying that knowledge into more traditional artwork the kids can be a little more creative in. So the stuff that we're doing right now, we're creating a drawing of an eye, a person's eye, and then the internal parts of the eye, the iris and stuff, is the color wheel. So they have to take the color knowledge and put that in there as practice to learn that information. But they're actually starting to draw from real life, which is something they really need to do.
I mean, it's obvious from viewing the work that they're enjoying themselves.
Yes.
And I guess for our mental health, from your perspective, What is the biggest challenge that you've had to adjust? I appreciate the efficiency and having the accountability on all of those fronts, but although you've always been a very organized cat, a very organized person, what are one or two challenges that you really had to face head on?
Okay, so I thought, with being more specific and having everything online, all the instructions, all the samples, all the video links, that this should be easier for the students. But students are still students, and we've all been there. Well, I actually have to read the instructions as a student. I actually have to go through all the material, a little bit more. So there's more responsibility on the student. So some of the students still just want to know, well, what do I do?
I see.
And I don't have a problem telling them that as long as they went through the instructions. So that's how I ran my classroom as well. We put all the instructions on our marker board configuration. We use our lesson plans as a guidance. And then when the students don't go through that information first, I turn them around and send them back to that part. It's just about teaching them how to, instead of give them food for the day, they learn how to fish.
Absolutely.
So they have to go back and read the instructions. I'll return the assignments. Because in Google Classroom, they submit a file attachment, and I read it. If it's not correct, I'll send it back with a note. So they get instant feedback on every assignment they turn in as well.
That's excellent.
So in a classroom, I'd stick it in a pile and grade it and maybe send it back, maybe write a note. But this one, it's a little bit more, a little easier to do those kinds of things with the technology.
I'm glad you're here, and I appreciate the effort that you're putting forth. Thank you for coming in today, folks.
Oh, I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
This is Mr. Joe Peterson. He's one of the best and the brightest in our district, visual arts instructor, Westside Leadership Academy. We'll be back in a moment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're watching WSTG TV.
I would now like you to take a look at my alma mater, Emerson School for the Visual and Performing Arts, and an incredible performance that was on our stage back in the early 2000s under the direction of Marion Lynn Bowens. Enjoy.
Rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountain side, let freedom ring. Our fathers taught to thee, author of liberty, to thee, God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way. Thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Our land be bright with freedom's holy lights. Protect us by thy might. Great God, our sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on, let us march on, let us march on, till victory is won. Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise, high as the listening sky. thy stronghold, our ever sure defense. Thy true religion in our hearts increase. Thy bounteous goodness nourish us in peace. Ooh, thy love divine hath led us in the past. In this free land, by thee our loss is cast. Be thou a ruler, guardian, guide and stay. Thy word alone, thy path, thy chosen way. Amen, 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 amen. I can tell the world, yes, about this. I can tell the nations, yes, that I'm blessed. I can tell the world, yes, about this. I can tell the nations, yes, that I'm blessed. I can tell the world, yes, about this. I can tell the nations, yes, that I'm blessed. I can tell the nations, yes, that I'm blessed. Tell them what my Lord has done. Tell them the conqueror has come, and he brought joy, joy, joy to my soul. Yes, about this. I can tell the nations, yes, that I'm blessed. I can tell the nations, yes, that I'm blessed. Yes, I can tell the nations, yes, that I'm blessed. Tell them what my Lord has done. Tell them the conqueror has come, and he brought joy, joy, joy to my soul. I can tell the world, yes, about this. I can tell the nations, yes, that I'm blessed. My Lord done just what he said. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He healed the sick and he raised the dead. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He lifted me when I was down. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He placed my feet on solid ground. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I can tell the world, yes, about this. I can tell the nations, yes, that I'm blessed. I can tell the nations, yes, that I'm blessed. Yes, I can tell the nations, yes, that I'm blessed. Tell them what my Lord has done. Tell them the conqueror has come. That morning, hallelujah. That morning, hallelujah. I can tell the world about this. I can tell the nations, yes, that I'm blessed. Tell them what my Lord has done. Tell them the conqueror has come. Oh Lord, he brought joy that morning, joy when he saved me. Joy that morning when he blessed me. I'll tell it how he brought this joy to my soul.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to introduce our new television program that's shot here in Studio A. It's entitled A Day in the District. It's hosted by our friend and associate, Chelsea Whittington. And our very first guest on A Day in the District is none other than Dr. Paige McNulty. She is our manager for the Gary Community School Corporation. We want you to enjoy it, but stay tuned after the program because we have lots more to come for the Black History Month celebration.
And welcome to our first episode of A Day in the District. I'm your host, Chelsea Whittington, and we are excited to share with you fun and fabulous news happening in your Gary Community School Corporation. I am so pleased to welcome our guest. She is the manager of the Gary Community School Corporation, Dr. Paige McNulty. Hi, Dr. Paige.
Hello, thanks for having me.
I am so glad that you are able to come on the show. It makes perfect sense for us to kick everything off with our manager, who has been at the helm for, has it been a year yet?
It has been a year.
It has been a year.
Yeah.
So let's start.
And what an exciting year.
Yes, and I've been right there for the ride
Yeah.
with you. I want to start at the beginning because you came aboard under the federal programs.
Right.
And then transitioned as our manager. And at the time, it was emergency
That's right,
manager.
yeah.
Can you tell me and talk to our audience about how we eliminated the emergency?
Right. So, as you said, I came on from working with the State Department, overseeing the federal projects, and as I was here, decided to take the position as emergency manager. And quickly thereafter, in speaking with the State Department and our constituents here, I think we made some huge progress quickly.
Yes.
And because of that, I kept saying, you know, it denotes that we're in chaos if it constantly says emergency manager. And I don't think we're in chaos anymore. I think we've come a long way. We know we still have work to do, but we've come a long way. And so we talked a lot about getting rid of that emergency status so that we could show and feel that we are moving forward, because we are. And so we all agreed that we were going to get rid of that term emergency manager so that we can show we're moving towards a traditional superintendent's role.
And I truly believe that the community has rallied behind the district, stakeholders from every facet to say, okay, we see you and we see the path forward that you are on. And again, you came on board and then a pandemic struck.
Right.
Dr. Page, what went through your mind? Because you really rallied us, our team, to say, we have to make this pivot. What was going through your mind and how did you just...
Well, for me, it was deja vu, because when I took the superintendency in East Chicago, 3 days later, we were hit with the lead crisis.
I remember.
And so I had to close a school down a week later. And different scenario, but similar chaos. And so it was kind of reminiscent of that. And so we quickly rallied the team because, you know, we're only as good as our team. And our cabinet here is fabulous, our administrative team. And so we all talked about what we needed to do, talked with the community, talked with our parents, and we made some decisions that I feel were in best interest of our students and staff moving forward.
Yes, and speaking of best interest, I think one of the measures that the district took and was out in front was around the technology, the Chromebooks. Talk a little bit about that process.
Right, so it was already in the plans for us at some point to get the one-on-one Chromebooks and the hotspots, and this just accelerated it greatly. So I ended up talking to the CEO of T-Mobile. They were wonderful in helping accelerate our order quickly, and I think we were probably one of the first districts, at least locally, that was able to get our order in quickly and get a rush order, because shortly after we put our order in, there became a 6-month waiting list.
Exactly.
So
everybody thought we had the hookup.
No.
They were like, why is the Gary schools? Because we were already planning.
We were already planning on doing it, but we weren't going to do it till August, so we just moved it forward, you know, until moving it to March. So that was a good thing, and the stars aligned, and luckily I was able to reach the CEO, and he and I worked. And to T-Mobile's credit, they also wanted to help our community and the district so that our students would have the technology they needed and wouldn't miss a beat with their education. So we thank them for their partnership and continue to work together.
Well, that is really awesome. In your professional purview, do you think this is the way that education is going, this whole virtual environment? I mean, how helpful is it to keep this going with the technology and pairing it with being in the classroom?
Yeah, I hope not. Just speaking as a mom with twins at home that are on virtual, it's hard. Yes, I do think that this is the way of the future, using technology, but it has to be paired with in-person learning. Absolutely. There is no replacement for having a teacher in front of you, having that, that connection, that relationship. Kids need to have that relationship with their teacher. They need to have someone in front of them helping them with manipulatives. Kids thrive on project-based learning. And so I think certainly having technology in the classroom is wonderful, and we need to continue to build upon that, but you also need, I feel like you still need to have that teacher, social worker, all those people connecting with you in your life.
I agree. And so I asked you that from a professional standpoint because you often talk about your days in the classroom. For those who don't know your background, can you share with us your educational journey?
Sure, sure. So I actually went to to school. I went to Ball State to become a psychologist. I didn't want to be a teacher,
Really?
right? My parents are in the education field, and my dad was a former administrator, and I didn't want to follow in his footsteps. I was kind of tired of the whole thing. So I went to Ball State and quickly realized once I got there that Ball State is a school that promotes a lot of people with disabilities in education because it's a flat campus, and I didn't know that when I went there. So because of that, there was lots of people there that were walking to and from class that had seeing eye dogs, and the dogs were wearing saddles with all their books. And I started finding myself going, oh, those poor dogs carrying all those books, and I would start taking the books, and I'd start walking with these people to class, and I would start taking their notes, and I loved it. And my professor finally said to me, you're in the wrong field. You need to go into special education.
Oh, wow.
And he was right. And so I switched my major, and I became a special education teacher, which was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I was a teacher for many years at the high school level at Boone Grove High School, and I taught there and coached basketball and volleyball.
That is awesome. We are here today with Dr. Paige McNulty, manager of the Gary Community School Corporation. We're talking all things Gary schools, and we are on the path to excellence. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to A Day in the District. I'm your host, Chelsea Whittington, here chatting with our manager of the Gary Community School Corporation, Dr. Paige McNulty. Before we went to break, we were talking about your educational journey. Gave us great information about Ball State and your love for special education, and then you transitioned over into administration. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so while I was teaching at Boone Grove, my principal encouraged me to go into a leadership role because I was taking on several things at the school. So I decided to go on with my career and my education, and I got a master's degree at that time from Indiana State University in special education and leadership. And then from there, I took assistant principals and then a principal's position in Chicago Heights, and I was there for many years, but I was still living here in Indiana. And while I was there, I realized that a piece that's missing as far as when you become a principal is the budget piece. And I was concerned about being in charge of all the money and not having a good solid background with finance. So I actually came back to school to IUN, and I got my MBA from IUN, got a fabulous education from them, and that's how I've continued to have my relationship with them and how we've started that program this past year, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then from there, I took an assistant superintendent's position with Illinois and continued to get my educational journey going and finished my PhD at that time in educational leadership.
And twins in
And
between
then
all
twins
of that.
at some point at the young age of 40 decided to have twins in between there. And so we had twins, and we needed to come back closer to home. My family lives here in Indiana, so does my husband. So we moved back closer to home so we'd have some support with our kids. And I took the assistant superintendent's position in East Chicago, and then shortly thereafter was promoted to the superintendent, for about 5 years.
You know, I didn't know all those different nuances of your education, so this was a learning experience for me. But I think it's important for our viewers to know when you have someone in your role leading a district that you've done all of the various roles to get you to this point. So you understand the heart of a teacher. You understand the hearts of administrators and how we all work together to ensure the success of our district. And speaking of success, let's pivot to our discussion of our favorite topic, the referendum.
Yay!
So 2 times prior to your arrival, the district made the attempt to pass a referendum. Enter Dr. Paige McNulty and team, and talk to me about that whole adventure we had. And I say adventure only because there were different twists and turns because there's so many moving parts when you talk about getting buy-in, understanding of what we're trying to do in support of our children.
Yeah, it was definitely a labor of love.
Yes.
But it was absolutely the right thing to do. And I got to be honest with you, when I first started thinking about the referendum, I said, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Although I knew it was desperately needed, and we absolutely had the right reasons for wanting to do it. But then upon speaking with our team and speaking with people in the community, I felt like it was something that we could accomplish. And so what I took from the referendum was there was such a huge outpouring of people from the community once we started talking about what the monies were going to be used for and the reasoning for it. People want the school district to succeed and to continue on the right track, and so we just had an outpouring of people that wanted to help us, and that was all the difference in the world.
You know what my favorite part of our work with the referendum, it was talking to those who had graduated from various Gary schools, hearing their stories about how proud they were to, whether it was Roosevelt, Westside, Emerson, and their love for the district and wanting to see it succeed. Many whom have either moved away, don't have children in the district, but all eyes were on this piece of legislation. So now that it has passed, where are we and when do we expect the dollars? And talk a little bit about the ambassadors that we are looking to have.
Definitely. So we don't start receiving the monies from the referendum passing until June 30th.
Okay, people need to know that.
Right.
We
So
don't have the money yet.
We do not have the money yet, and even when we do get the money, there's not a referendum money tree happening out there, but it's going to help us continue to move that needle forward towards our goal of being back to local control. But it's going to continue to fund things like this beautiful studio that we're in right now, you know. And so when I talked to my colleagues and I talked to people in the community about the referendum, I started telling them about things like that. People didn't even know some of the things that we already have in place. And so the goal is obviously with the referendum dollars to be able to enhance these wonderful services that we already have and to continue to grow and expand upon them, like our CTE program and other departments like that, so that we can get some of our students back who I feel we're missing a wonderful education here.
Absolutely.
So
I got mine here.
Yeah, and my husband got his at Roosevelt, so I hear about it all the time. So anyway, we committed to having an oversight committee for the referendum dollars, and then I quickly said, you know what, I don't think I should call
Scratch that, right?
I don't think I should call it an oversight committee because it's not to replace the advisory board. That was never the intention. So I'm calling it the referendum ambassadors because I want to be able to be very transparent with the dollars, where they're going. When they come in, we'll meet with the referendum ambassadors and talk about the list of projects that are coming forward so I can get some feedback from them and then show them the dollars that are being expended. And the goal is that they then can help me talk with the rest of the community to spread those messages, because I want it to be clear to everybody.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you have often said that you wanted to emphasize promises made, promises kept.
Right.
And this ambassador committee is a perfect way to have foot soldiers, if you will, that can go back to their various networks, share what the updates are, how the monies are being spent, but most important, Dr. McNulty, they will be able to physically see a lot of the things that are being done, and we are so happy that the referendum passed. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Dr. McNulty about all of the different improvements that are being made in our district, particularly as it relates to Bill 1065. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's gross. I don't really want to talk about it. She didn't want to at first, but I mean, it's no big deal. Everybody does it.
I was ready, totally ready, because we had been practicing this dance for weeks.
He was supposed to take this girl to this dance, but
I sprained my ankle at track practice.
I hate sharing anything personal. It's so disgusting. For the dance, I let her wear my shoes and she hated it, but I thought she looked great in them.
he could barely even walk.
I ended up taking some pills for my pain.
Yeah, they were my mom's, but
it didn't go well.
If it's not yours, if it's not yours,
if it's not yours.
Hey, you.
Don't take it.
Don't take it.
Don't take it.
Don't take it. You won't believe what happened next.
And we We are back, a day in the district, and today's special guest is none other than Dr. Paige McNulty, our manager of your Gary Community School Corporation. We've been talking referendum, we've been talking pandemic, and now I'm going to shift the focus to legislation, Bill 1065. It was passed last year, and it also has an attachment to a pot of money that allows us to do a lot of improvements which have already started. Can you talk a little bit about 1065 and what that means for the district? Because I've found that we really have to emphasize that the referendum dollars are for one thing, Bill 1065 for
Separate
another.
pot of money.
Yes.
That's right. So there's two pots of money, referendum dollars, as you said, 1065, and we're so grateful that Senator Milton authored this so that we could free up some dollars for capital improvement for some deferred maintenance that's happened here around the district. And if you talk with any of our teachers or parents, one of the things that you hear consistently is we need to work on the roofs, and we know that, and we need to work on some of our HVAC boiler issues, and we know that. We did put out a survey to the community and to our families, asking them to help us prioritize some of those capital improvement projects, and those obviously were at the top of the list. So we've come up with a 5-year plan of what we're going to do with those dollars to enhance our buildings. We have already done the bidding process for the roofs, so those will actually start next month. So we'll have roofing being done here at Westside, roofing being done at Beveridge and Gary Middle School. So those will start here next month. We also have done bids, and those will be solidified next week on the HVACs, boilers, and those also will start in about February.
Okay.
So that we'll
this
have,
month then, okay.
Yeah, so we're excited to have all those projects happening. In addition, we've used some of the funds, as you saw, for the track. That's new, so that we can have a track, our own home field advantage for the track in May. And then we're going to be doing things like the band uniforms that we've heard a lot about, and a whole list of things. All of them are posted on our website. And again, I will be making those updates through the Referendum Ambassador Committee and certainly through our advisory board meetings on a regular basis. But we're very, very grateful to have that fund available for much needed projects here around the district.
I mean, when I sit and listen to these things, I put on my community member hat, and it really makes me proud as a Gary Schools alum. But as a parent, for the parents who are watching, some over the years, based on some of the things that you're talking about now that hadn't happened in the past, made decisions to move their children to other districts, other schools, etc. We're on this fast track to invite them back.
That's right.
And I'm inviting you to talk to them about our enrollment efforts and why they should hurry up and come back to the Gary schools.
Yeah. Well, I would say that I think that we, again, offer a wide range of things for students to take advantage of. And nothing against charter schools, because, you know, I'm an educator wherever you go. I think education is important. However, I think with the public schools, we're able to offer a lot more, a wide range of things, like our CTE program. So, for example, if you're interested in getting a certification paid for by the school district to be able to leave high school, this is the place to be. We are engaged in contracts with the local charter schools who are sending their kids to us because we can offer those services. So we have expanded those programmings a lot, and we're going to continue to offer more strands. We have about 19 pathways that students can take advantage of at our CTE programming, from graphic arts to aviation to cosmetology to EMS, etc.
Culinary is my favorite.
Right.
My favorite.
Why wouldn't you leave with a certification so that if you want to go into that field of work and it's already paid for, great. If you want to go on to secondary education, you've already got that under your belt as well. So it's just a wonderful, I think, opportunity.
I think it's awesome, Dr. Page, not to interrupt you, that the Gary Area Career Center, that's what we're referring to, has opened up these opportunities to 8th grade as well.
That's right.
So they can get started
That's
early.
right. So I was going to say that all students can start registering now. We are encouraging them to register because those slots fill up, and we can only take so many students. So we're encouraging our high school students to sign up now for next year, as well as 8th graders, because you can take a class starting this summer and already start high school with credits under your belt. And again, that's a free service to you, and the bus will pick you up in the summer. Why not take advantage of that? But all of our schools are enrolling students now for the next school year, and so we encourage everyone to look on our website for how to get that done. We're excited about that.
I am definitely excited about that. We're almost getting ready to wrap up, but two quick things. Definitely want you to mention the program partnership with Indiana University for our teachers, how they're getting their certifications, and then we're going to wrap it up with what's happening in the summer for the district.
So we have partnered with IUN University, and we are paying for teachers and now paraprofessionals, we've expanded it, who are interested in becoming a teacher. We'll pay for your teacher certification while you work for us in the classroom, and then you'll get your teacher certification. It's usually about 18 months long, the programming, which happens in the evening or on Saturdays virtually. After that 18 months, you've signed a commitment to stay on with us for 3 years and teach, but it's a paid license that we're getting for you, paid teaching license.
Amazing.
Right.
And more information is available on our website, garyschools.org. And last but not least...
So I just want to clarify, we pay for your tuition and your books.
Okay.
So it's, you know...
It's a win-win. It's a no-brainer.
It's a free degree.
And then last but not least, K through 12 STEM, Dr. Page.
Yeah, so we're starting a brand new strand this summer. We're offering STEM camp for kids at the elementary, middle school, and high school level. So we're going to be doing coding for girls. We're going to be doing gaming classes, YouTubing, all those types of things, so that students can start learning how to use technology in the world that we live in. We're also starting a broadcasting class, which will kick off this summer and continue on next fall, so that our students can learn how to do these types of wonderful skills.
Amazing. You know, Dr. Page, plain and simple, I'm just going to have you back. As you can see, there are a lot of great things going on in the Gary Community School Corporation. We'll stop here and invite you to visit our website for more information, garyschools.org. Dr. Page, thank you so much for being
it's
my
my
guest.
honor to serve the students here, very much so.
And I have been your host, Chelsea Whittington, A Day in the District. We'll see you next time.
Folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and welcome to our newly christened WSTG TV studio. And with me now is an incredible instructor, creator, choreographer, Ms. Devonna Edwards. She's an instructor for Gary Community Schools West Side Leadership Academy, West Side Theater Guild. Hey, Devo, how are you, Ms. Devonna?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. I miss you. Since March 13th, it's been difficult to be in the same room with everybody. And I'm just excited to chat with you, and thanks for taking the time. I've always wanted to ask you this. How did you actually get started in the field of dance and choreography?
I actually got started by going to a performing arts school called Emerson for the visual performing arts. So I went to that school from 6th through 12th grade. But I've been dancing pretty much since I've been walking, maybe a little bit before.
Really?
And I've always just been drawn to your body and the music, yes.
That's incredible. And as an instructor, I know it's some of the most physical stuff that we could possibly do with our kids. How have you adjusted with this virtual learning environment? Has it been difficult for you, or has it pushed your creative juices to even come up with something more out of the box and innovative? What's it been like for you?
It's been a struggle a little bit with the virtual.
Sure.
Because I'm used to feeding off of, energy. I'm more of an organic choreographer. Sometimes I'm inspired, maybe a dream, or I see something and I'm able to create, but I like to create based on like the energy of the class. So it's been a little difficult, and especially with, the virtual and the music and the lagging and the issues between me and the students as far as, being able to see them and correct them. It's been a challenge.
Is there a piece in particular that you've created that you're most proud of so far in your career? And again, as I've said to the others, you all have so many more miles to go with your craft. But is there anything that's really stood out for you that's been a real benchmark for you in your creativity?
Maybe the one that's dear to me was grand piano that I did a few years back with dance competition team, and probably my first ever choreography.
And what did that entail? What was that called? Or what was that about?
Yeah, it was a song by Avril Lavigne, and I feel like that was my first time where I actually became me and was able to just move freely with no rules, and I was just able to just feel the music and just, you know, vibe to it and create. So that's when I kind of was drawn to choreography more so than performing on stage.
I think that's awesome. Ms. Edwards, you are a true gift. I appreciate all that you do with our kids, and I'm sure they appreciate it as well. I cannot wait till we're under one roof creating again in person, but until then, be well, be safe, and thank you for coming on today, okay?
Thank you for having me.
A pleasure. That's Devonna Edwards. She's our instructor for dance art for the West Side Leadership Academy, West Side Theater Guild. It's wonderful to have all of this creative energy in the room. Don't leave us. We'll be back in just a moment.
WSTG TV.
Hi, I'm Mark Spencer, your host for the Black History Month celebration here at WSTG TV. Now, this next piece is near and dear to me because it's a very surreal experience that occurred in the early 2000s when we invited Coretta Scott King to our theater to speak. It's memorable because we were biting our nails because we were in the midst of a snowstorm like none other. And she was coming in from Atlanta, and we were getting word on an hourly basis that planes were being canceled out of Atlanta to Chicago, out of Atlanta to Chicago. So finally, the very last plane out of Atlanta to Chicago, Illinois, that was approved and allowed to taxi and to fly out was her flight. So with sweating bullets and biting of nails, we got Coretta Scott King here on our property, on our campus, and it was quite memorable. So I want you to take a look at a portion of that and do enjoy it.
It is a great pleasure to be here with you this evening and to share fellowship with all of you. Our theme for tonight's program, Lest We Forget, Martin Luther King for the 21st century, contains an implicit challenge for us all. This challenge is to study my husband's teachings, emulate his principles, and get engaged in the ongoing struggle for a more just and peaceful world that continues in his name. I believe that the arts have a vital role to play in this effort. Groups like the West Side Theater Guild help to awaken our hearts, souls, and spirits to a greater awareness of truth and justice, as well as beauty, peace, and harmony. I want to commend the West Side Theater Guild for doing such an outstanding job of bringing fine culture to this community, and for getting more than 500 young people involved in the performing arts. You have exposed many thousands more young people to some of America's greatest artists on this very stage. And I salute you for your phenomenal dedication. I especially appreciate that West Side Theater Guild's productions demonstrate a deep and abiding concern for using the arts to educate, inspire, and challenge audiences to a higher level of awareness about the need for social reform and a greater commitment to work for social change. It is a great tragedy that arts programs are being cut back in America's public schools. Something is very wrong when arts programs are shutting down in schools across the country for lack of funds. while our government can find hundreds of billions of dollars for a misguided war in Iraq. American culture, jobs, not just directly but indirectly as well. Behind America's artists, there are legions of truck drivers, factory workers, craftsmen, and women, and salespersons, bringing their products to market. When we invest in the arts, we are investing in jobs, protecting our strongest and most vital industries, and strengthening our economy. So I would encourage everyone to support the great work of the West Side Theater Guild. Every dollar you contribute to the West Side Theater Guild is an investment in the cultural enrichment of your community and the uplift of the young people who live here. It is so important to encourage our young people and to nurture their hopes and dreams. But it is equally important that we help them to understand what it takes to be a fulfilled human being. To the young people here with us tonight, I want to take this opportunity to encourage you to pursue your dreams with all of the courage, determination, and intelligence you can command. I urge you to pursue excellence, not only in your schoolwork, but also in your personal integrity, emotional maturity, and your concern for the welfare of all humanity, people of every race, religion, and nation. It is vitally important, especially for those of you who would be the leaders of our future, to get the best education you can. You must stay in school and to urge your friends to keep from dropping out. The future belongs to those who have the self-discipline to persevere and get a good education. I learned this lesson as a young girl growing up in the rural South. I remember one day I asked my mother a question about racism African-American children had been asking their parents for centuries. And that question is, why? I will never forget how my mother answered the question on that day. You are just as good as anyone else, she said. You get an education and try to be somebody. Then you won't have to be kicked around by anybody. And being the feminist she was, she said, and you won't have to depend on anyone for your livelihood, not even a man. I remember my mother saying on another occasion, my children are going to go to college, even if it means I have but one dress to put on. My father and mother worked very hard to make sure that their children all got a good education. And my sister and brother and I took this responsibility to heart. We made sure that nothing and nobody could stop us from getting educated. And this determination has made a great difference in our lives. If you want to be a follower of Martin Luther King Jr., I also urge you to say no to drugs and violence. Don't let the pushers of drugs and guns exploit you and make you weak. Make it clear to them that you want no part of the sick culture that profits off of the blood and suffering of other human beings. If you want to be true followers of Martin Luther King Jr., keep your mind clear and keep your goals focused on self-improvement, not self-destruction. You must also also guard against the temptation of greed. Yes, money makes us feel powerful, but the quality of your life will not be measured by how much money you made. You can spend a lifetime making a lot of money and end up leaving nothing of lasting value behind. But if you dedicate yourself to making a better world, you will find a sense of personal fulfillment that money can't buy.
And we're back in our newly christened WSTG TV studio, and I have with us via Zoom today is Asia Dickens. She's the choreographer and dance instructor for GMS, Gary Middle Schools for Visual and Performing Arts, as well as Asia's Dance Factory. Asia, what's up? Welcome.
Hey, hello, thank you for having me.
What has this experience been like for you?
It's been different. I will say I got a little bit of help because of Asia's Dance Factory, and COVID shut everything down in March. So from March until May, going virtual at Gary Middle School and at my dance studio, it gave me a lot of practice. So I would say coming back to school and being virtual, the practice from March to May kind of set me up in the best way possible to make it a little bit more entertaining and not just being in front of the computer and just, talking to them. I could actually use YouTube clips that have tutorials for them to learn. I have vocabulary, so you kind of can be a little bit more innovative, but at the same time, it still is different.
Yeah, I miss the kids. It's just, I miss their energy. I miss them especially because it's a different time. We're going to get back to it though. We're going to get back.
Definitely. I miss them popping in from walking from class to class and just saying, hey, Asia. So it's different.
What have you done to incorporate innovative elements to your classrooms?
Something that I tried to switch up. I don't just teach one genre. So I tried to teach, what do I teach first? On Monday, I teach jazz. On Tuesday, I teach acrobatics. And on Wednesdays, I teach hip hop since we're only Monday through Wednesday. And each day I will use a different YouTube video that has a tutorial attached to it. And I will thoroughly explain how to do it. And to me, that kind of helps them because I find a lot of videos that, most times when you're on the screen, if I'm holding up my right hand, hold up your right hand.
It doesn't match.
It's the opposite side of the screen. People actually flip the videos for the kids and they won't have to, think like that. Like, whoa, which way am I going?
Right.
So I found a lot of videos like that. I've made videos like that for myself. I'm certified with acrobatic arts, and they have a syllabus set up where videos are made for kids to learn virtually. So I've been kind of had the best help, but I still have to, use my creativity because sometimes kids are just like, I don't get it. And you have to try to make it work for them.
I'm sure if you've heard the name, you've seen the incredible work of her choreography, even as a performer. But if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to show the folks something. Is that all right? So I want you to take a look at a clip from a Black History program at GMS that was, I would say, recently produced. So look at the work, and we're going to come back in just a minute. Look at Asia. After the passing of Michael Jackson, the West Side Theater Guild, we banded together and we came up with a salute to Michael, and we got her on stage to do this, and she absolutely slayed it. Let's take a look.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I think a lot of kids and community members have been blessed as a result of it. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Right. We'll see you soon. We'll be back in a moment, folks.
You're watching WSTG TV.
Hey, everybody, we're back. And I'm with the most incredible artist here. We call him EJ, Mr. Eric Jackson. He is the choral director, music director at GMS Gary Middle School for the Visual and Performing Arts, Gary Community Schools. EJ, may I call you EJ?
Yes, sir, that's fine.
Reverend EJ, brother EJ, welcome, man. What's going on?
Man, nothing much. I'm just quarantining.
As we all are. And it looks wonderful. You have beautiful digs to quarantine in, by the way. That looks cool, brother.
I appreciate it. I decorated myself.
Oh, very cool, man. Listen, I've always wanted to ask you this, and I'm glad we have the time now. I've seen your work with the kids, and I've heard a lot of your cool stuff that you've done professionally as an artist. Brother, how did you get into teaching?
Man, it's crazy because it's nothing that I really seeked out. It kind of found me, so in the midst of, making my rounds, and it was just kind of like proposed, and I was like, well, let's try something new. And I think that's the most important part of having knowledge, being able to spread it and help others.
No, I agree, man. I agree. And boy, aren't you doing that in a very classy way to add. But listen, How have you been teaching these kids virtually? What has it been like for you with this experience? Because I know being in the classroom and hearing the harmonies and having that hands-on approach now that we have this one dimension that we're forced to work in for a while. Brother, what's that been like for you?
Well, I think the most important thing, and even that we take pride in at GMS, is that we're artists, and we're always thinking ahead, and we're always trying to progress, and we're always trying to take our ideas and make them a reality. So the one thing that we take pride in is basically providing a relevant learning experience. All right, so basically just working with what we have, being able to use every tool, and even with teaching, it makes it easier to kind of like give a visual reference and being able to reach the students. Basically, all of us using our different creative ideas, the students pitching in, and we're just working together to navigate through something that we've never done before.
How did that come about, and what inspired you, and how did you put that down?
Mm-hmm. Well, I just wanted to get in the studio and make something that I've never made before. So I was able to reach out, got a pretty prolific, if you will, rapper on it, a Big Crit. And he was signed to Def Jam and done a bunch of crazy stuff. So yeah, I, got him on the record, flew down to Atlanta, shot the video. It was crazy.
I think that's nuts. I mean, in the most positive way, of course. And I'd say congratulations to you, man. Congratulations to you. That's incredible. And thank you for sharing that with us. And folks, his work is incredible. GMS for the Visual and Performing Arts, our music instructor. Okay, let me give you this last one. I'll get you out of here because I'm sure he's got calls to make and take and have his people call their people kind of stuff. So I'm going to ask this last question. But EJ, listen, being that you're a recording artist as well as a teacher, okay, how have you been able to balance the two? That's really tricky because even one discipline alone, it can be overwhelming.
Right. Well, I believe even with the help of my students, they've been letting me know that they're supporting me. That keeps me going. Just being able to stay true and continue to work. I think this is the time to work. Now is not the time to take a break. This is the time, and this is going to separate the true people from, the people who really don't got it.
I agree. Spoken like a true pro. EJ, thank you for your time, and thank you for your gift, brother, and talking with us today, okay?
Yes, sir.
This is EJ Jackson. He's our musical instructor for GMS, that's Gary Middle School for the Visual and Performing Arts. And stay tuned, folks. We'll be back in a moment.
Racism is a public health issue. Understanding racism is the first step to eradicating this serious public health menace from our society. In all its insidious and collective forms, racism kills more Black people than any other current health issue. Whether intentional or unintentional, whether on an individual or systemic level, the pathology of racism has infected our society. On an individual level, it may be evident in our behaviors, actions, and beliefs. Institutionally, it is evident in the commonly accepted policies and practices that serve to marginalize whole populations of people, such as discriminatory housing and unfair lending practices, poorly funded schools, or disparate healthcare access. Why is racism considered a public health issue? The CDC defines the social determinants of health as the conditions in which people are born, grow, live, work, and age. These conditions are shaped by the distribution of money, power, and resources. Health equity is achieved when every person has the opportunity to attain full health potential, and no one is disadvantaged from achieving this potential because of social position or other socially determined circumstances. Racism is a physical, mental, and social health affliction. It leads to chronic stress, anxiety, and depression, especially among Black people. These conditions often cause hypertension, heart disease, and other illnesses that, if left untreated, can lead to untimely death. Do your part to end racism and health disparities. Engage policymakers and key stakeholders at all levels. Encourage them to understand the needs across vulnerable populations and to align and position programs to address community needs. Be the change that you want to see. It's up to all of us to secure a happier, healthier, more just future for all people.
Come on out, boy. It's after 7:30. Travis, I said get up. You're not the only person in this world got to use the bathroom. Come on. Get up. Here, toothbrush. Service. All right. Walter Lee, it's after 7:30. Let me see you do some waking up in there now. Man, it's after 7:30, I tell you. Okay, you just go right ahead and lie there. And pretty soon, Travis gonna be out and Mr. Johnson gonna be in there. And you gonna be fussing and cussing like a madman. And late too. Walter Lee, it's time for you to get up.
Is he out yet?
What do you mean out? He ain't hardly got in there good yet.
What was he doing all that yelling for? I can't even get in there yet. Oh. A check coming today?
They said Saturday. It's just Friday. And I hope to God you ain't gonna come here first thing this morning talking to me about no money, because I about don't want to hear it.
Is something the matter with you this morning?
No, I'm just tired of yelling. How you want your eggs?
Not scrambled. Paper come?
It's over there.
Oh. Oh, man. You know, they set up another bomb yesterday.
Did they now?
Is something the matter with you?
I said ain't nothing the matter with me, and don't keep asking me that.
Ain't nobody bothering you. Hey, old Colonel McCormick is sick.
Is he now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, what's that boy doing in that bathroom all this time? Look, he's gonna have to start getting up earlier. I can't be late to work on account of him messing around in there.
No. He ain't getting up no earlier, no such thing. It ain't his fault. He can't get to bed on account of a bunch of crazy clowns running their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And what's supposed to be his bedroom tap at 10 o'clock at night?
So the things I gotta talk about with my friend just couldn't be important in your mind now, could they?
Why do you always have to smoke before you eat in the morning?
Man, look at him down there. Running and racing to work. Yeah, you look real young this morning, baby. Yeah, when you're scrambling up them eggs, it's like he's real young again.
Yeah.
And now it's gone. You look like yourself again.
If you don't shut up and leave me alone.
The first thing a colored man ought to learn is not to make love to no colored woman first thing in the morning. You know, y'all some evil people at 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, hey. That's my boss.
Come on, sit down here.
Today's Friday. Check on Mom, huh?
Listen, get your mind off of money and eat your breakfast.
But this is only supposed to be 50 cents a stick.
Well, I ain't got no 50 cents.
Teacher said we have to.
I don't care what teacher say. I ain't got no. Eat your breakfast.
I am eating.
Travis, eat your breakfast.
You think Grandma will help me?
No, and I don't want you asking your grandmother for money. Do you hear me?
Golly, I don't ask her. She's giving me.
Listen, Travis, Willie Younger, I have too much on me.
Daddy.
Travis! Listen, eat your breakfast. All right. If you through eating, you go right up there and make up your bed.
I'm gone.
Wait, hold it. I you not getting ready to walk out here with your head looking like chicken slapping. I don't know where you get your slubbering ways. Get your jacket, car fare, milk money, and not a penny for no caps. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
That woman make me so mad sometime. I don't know what to do. I wouldn't kiss that woman goodbye this morning for nothing. Not for nothing in this world.
Golly, Mama.
Oh, God.
Folks, we are back. Now, in the studio, we have our guest today is Mr. Deandre Teemer. He's the band instructor for the Gary Community Schools West Side High School. Welcome, brother. How are you today?
I'm all right. Blessed, brother. Blessed.
It is a pleasure to have you, man. I mean, you know, I was talking to some of your colleagues earlier about how they're dealing with the situation with distant learning and virtual learning. Before we get into all of that, what do you like most in general about teaching at Westside in the Gary Community Schools?
Really the colleagues. When I first got here in 2018, it was all open arms, man. I was welcome. Yeah. It was love. That's all. And then I was also raised in the Gary Community School Corporation, so you know, I've seen a lot of familiar faces amongst my colleagues who were still teaching. So I mean, it was just all love. It was good, positive energy all the way around. So.
It's true, and you brought that, you reciprocated that energy as well, and it's appreciated, and the students can see it, and I've seen nothing but tremendous growth from both you and your program, and I'm glad you decided to stay in Gary and to give back. It means a lot. It really does. In keeping with that conversation about instruction and quality of instruction and educating our kids, what challenges are you faced with right now with this adjustment, this abrupt adjustment we all dealt with March 13th or so of this year and moving forward? How have you had to make adjustments or the challenges that you faced with that?
It was quite, it was a struggle. It was a struggle, I would say, but it was really my focus on the kids being engaged to the subject and to the content and everything like that. So I had to really figure out a good way to keep them involved and keep them engaged. So that was kind of one of my gripes. But it's been good. I've been getting support from my band parents. So they've been helping me out really well. And then even the students, because they know they wanted to do this. So they know that they got to, you know, put in the work to get back to where we were. So, I mean, it's working. It's a work in progress.
I lost count with the number of students in that performance. It had to probably be over when you combine orchestra, band, choir, the performers, ticket takers, crew backstage. It had to be over 150 people in that production.
100. Yes, sir.
Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah, it was big.
It was probably one of the bigger productions at Northwest Indiana in general. I would say education in terms of the realm of education, but beyond that, a lot of folks were involved in that. What do you remember most about, what were your takeaways? Because you all looked awesome.
My takeaways was first, I was a little nervous.
Were you?
Yeah, because I never performed or did or was the head front of a huge production like this. So it was a stripe under my belt. So I was really excited and nervous at the same time. But being on top of that stage, man, and with all the students, it was kind of. It was different because we was the spotlight, you know. So we had to be on point. So everything was, you know.
And you were on point, and that's the thing about it. A lot of pressure was on our program at the time because of my alma mater merging with West Side High School, proper West Side Theater Guild, and we wanted to be cognizant, aware, and very careful to extend olive branches and work together. So all of us, all of the figureheads had to be on it. And Brother Teemer, you and your family, your team delivered and then some. So I'm really, really thankful for you coming through today. I want to appreciate and thank you for encouraging all of us to continue to work toward our goals in educating these wonderful kids. And what do you have for us in the future? Any upcoming projects virtually? I thank you also for working with us with Lovely Day, by the way.
Oh, no problem.
Anything coming up that you have that we can look forward to or that I can help you with?
Actually, we've put together, I've spoken to the head administration here at Westside. side, Mr. Othniel Mahone, and we're working together to kind of get the kids back going with the safety and precautious reentry plan. So that's kind of something we're looking into. We've seen other schools around the district, and not district, but the state.
In the county.
In the county
right,
and everything.
Yeah.
So we're just taking the necessary precautions and see if that's, something viable for the kids to partake in. But other than that, no, we will stick to virtual learning, and the virtual learning it's been real fun because we're going back in time and we're discovering about the composers from the classical periods and so on up. And now we're into ragtime right now, so the kids are really
ragtime.
Yep. So jazz, and we're getting into that. So it's really interesting.
Time well spent, and I'd say time well spent with you today. Thank you so much for coming through, folks. We'll be back in a moment.
WSTG TV.
And we're back. Welcome, folks, to Westside Theater Guild's Black History Month program. In the studio today, we have a dear friend that we've been wanting to get here for quite some time, and the time has finally come. We have Miss Marjol Rush Collette. She is the executive director and curator of the Langston Hughes Family Museum. Now, in addition to that, she's a member of the Gary Community School Corporation family as well. She is also the administrative assistant to elementary and secondary curriculum directors. Marjol, finally, welcome. Welcome home.
Thank you so much, Mark.
It's a pleasure to have you, and I really want you to share with the public your connection, your very intricate, interesting connection to Langston Hughes and his connection to the state of Indiana.
Okay, fine. Langston's father, whose name was James Nathaniel, and my great-grandmother, whose name was Margaret, were sister and brother.
Okay.
Now, so that makes Langston my second cousin, once removed.
Right.
His connection to the state of Indiana is that his grandparents, the elder John Henry and Emily Hughes, were both from the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Okay.
And during those days, in the early 1800s, both of their fathers were slave owners. Her father was a distiller of Scotch whiskey. So he was a little older than she, and the two fathers came together and said they're going to get married, and so they migrated. And at that time, if you were a person of color, you needed travel papers to travel across the country.
Right.
So they traveled across the country and settled in an area what is now around the Louisville area. But it was such a hard time, and at that time, the state of Kentucky was a county in Virginia. So they settled in the Louisville area, and they were married according to the manner of slaves, basically, which meant they were not legally married. So after about 10 or 12 years and about 4 or 5 kids, they said, gee, we're going to cross the river and we're going to go to Indiana. And they settled in Charlestown, Indiana, and there they got married legally in 1871.
Absolutely incredible. And as I was doing some research to prepare for this, I didn't realize, as you were sharing, the polar opposites of Langston's ancestors. You know, you had one side that were slave owners, and the other of his background that were slaves. Do you think from those polar opposites it fed into his dynamic perspective from his writing and the way he saw the world by chance?
Well, keep in mind, Langston never knew his grandparents.
So there was no connection there.
He never knew them, never met them.
Okay.
Okay, because he was born after they both had died.
I understand.
You know?
I understand.
So, but he was a person that he had a different outlook on life, even back in the early days, you know, and he saw things differently, even when he, even when he was a busboy on a merchant ship.
Yes.
Okay, so he saw things quite differently at that time. And so now we've kind of come full circle. So as I travel around the country and I do exhibits and I talk about Langston and the family, I try to bring everything back around full circle from the time when he was a kid growing up in Lawrence, Kansas,
Yes.
until the time he died in Harlem.
Well, his contributions have been phenomenal from our vantage point, from African American literature, the Harlem Renaissance, and to the West Side Theater Guild specifically. We've been producing and reciting I Too Sing America for over 25 years in different iterations in our productions. So he's really touched our lives in a big way. And as I'm looking and learning more, you were kind enough to bring artifacts, documentation to our studio today, which leads me to the question, okay, when did you create this museum, and what prompted you to do it, and what was the purpose? What was your vision behind that?
Well, let me try to say, I incorporated in 2007.
Okay.
My mother, everything that I have, and I have over 175 pieces of original family artifacts. And
That's
my
a lot.
mother had all of these pieces.
That is a lot.
Yeah. And so my mother passed in 2001 at the end of January. She was buried on Langston's birthday.
Oh my, okay.
So, for years I would tell her, gee, let me take this and let me put it together and let's see what we can do. But she never wanted to do that. She was a person, and everybody has this. Everybody's mother or grandmother has this. A big scrapbook with the big plastic papers, pages that turn yellow and they crack. And my mother toted that thing around for years. So after she passed, I took everything that she had, and I put it all together. And even up until, I'd say, 5 years after she passed, I was still opening boxes.
That many artifacts you have?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have them all itemized now at this point?
Absolutely. I have an inventory list that's about 13 typewritten pages.
Now, are all the artifact pieces related to your family directly, or are there specific items that are directly related to Langston from another existence, or
no.
How does that work?
I have about 17 original pieces that belong to Langston directly. Cards, letters. I have one of the hats that he wore. I have one of the first typewriters he used, and different cards and things that he sent to different family members along the way.
Unbelievable.
And so I've tried to put everything in some type of order, in some type of order. So, but the objective of this project is the Langston Hughes Family Museum. It's about the family of Langston Hughes, because we all come from a family. Everybody comes from a family. So even before Langston Hughes was Langston Hughes, he came from a family.
No, I agree. And what a contribution he's made, and what you've done today is quite remarkable with sharing this personal collection from the museum. Now, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to continue talking to our friend, the curator and director of the Langston Hughes Family Museum, Marjo Rush Collette. Don't touch the dial. We'll be right back.
Hey there, new girl.
Hey, girl.
How was your first week?
It was okay. Could have been better, though.
Yeah, it'll get better. Get my coat on and then we can go, okay?
What are you doing that for? It's 72 degrees and it's sunny outside.
The weather's not the problem. It's those clowns downstairs smoking cigarettes I'm getting ready for.
Oh, please. Look at us. We're going to lunch on a sunny day, and we look hot. I would be insulted if we didn't get a few whistles.
Well, first of all, you are going to be insulted because I know I'm hot. And secondly, that really wasn't what I was talking about. It's that secondhand smoke. I mean, we can't even come to work without getting sick from that stuff. Do you know that the EPA just classified it as a Group A carcinogen? Something that causes cancer in humans?
Okay, come on. Don't you think you're overreacting a little bit? You sound like one of those anti-smoking commercials.
All right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt because you're the new girl, and you just may not understand how serious this stuff is. You know that secondhand smoke has benzene, arsenic, ammonia, hydrogen chloride, and hundreds of other toxic chemicals. Girl, them carcinogens ain't no joke, and them clowns do not be playing around doing cigarette breaks.
Okay, whatever. I got it. But you're still being a little too uptight, though.
Well, stay close to me, keep your head lowered, and I guarantee you gonna thank me later.
Oh yeah! Get Oh, green filling!
And we're back. We're here with our guest, Marjol Rush Collette, and she's talking about all of these incredible artifacts that she's brought in today from the Langston Hughes Family Museum, and she happens to be the curator. Marjol, may I ask you, where was Langston Hughes born, and where did he live as a child?
Langston was born in Joplin, Missouri.
Okay.
He and his mother left Joplin, I doubt if he was a year old.
Okay.
His mother and father had a very strained relationship. They were never able to stay together longer than 5 minutes.
Oh, my. Okay.
Yeah, so, but he was born in Joplin, and as a child, he lived, his mother's name was Catherine. She was educated at Oberlin College as an educator, but she always worked as a waitress and a washerwoman.
Okay.
Her mother was from lived in Lawrence, Kansas, and this is the interesting thing. Her mother's name was Mary Langston. Now, Mary Langston's first husband rode in the raid on Harper's Ferry with John Brown. So
interesting. Okay.
Right. So after her first husband died, then she married Mr. Langston.
Okay, all right. I'm following.
Okay, you got it.
Right,
and
yep.
so Carrie, for lack of a better term, Carrie was a nomad. She always traveled around, and she was always looking for the next big thing, the next big opportunity. So she left Langston with her mother in Lawrence, Kansas. And unfortunately, Mary Langston died when Langston was about in the 4th grade.
Oh, that had to be.
Okay.
That was
was very traumatic. So her friends, Aunt and Uncle Reed, took Langston and raised Langston and tried to make him a Christian and wanted him to get saved.
I understand. Being raised by an evangelist. Yes,
right.
I know.
And as it turned out, Carrie had to come back and get her son, and from there, and I found this to be very interesting, they moved to Lincoln, Illinois.
Okay.
And he was in the 5th grade at Lincoln, and it was a predominantly white school, and at that time, the schools and the classes had class officers. So they had a president and a secretary and all of that, and they had an office called the class poet. So Langston took that job as the class poet because nobody else wanted the job. And that was when he decided in the 5th grade that he was going to be a poet.
Amazing. And I think I read somewhere as I was prepping for this that something to the effect of African Americans possessed certain rhythm and of the iambic pentameter.
Absolutely.
And the instructors or the overall staff or student body felt that he was a perfect fit for that.
Oh, he was the perfect
just read
one.
that.
Yeah,
right.
because after all, all Negroes could sing and dance and rhyme.
I understand. That was one of our strengths during the time, and I understand. But with Langston, If you can tell me, how old was he when he began to write, and where did he live at that time? Was that in that
in the fifth grade?
So in that area is actually where it started.
In the 5th grade in Lincoln, Illinois.
So
and from there, they moved around, and then he went to high school in Cleveland.
Okay.
And the high school that he went to was Central High School, which is now a Catholic school. And he and his mother lived in, I don't want to call it a loft, an upstairs apartment.
Okay.
Okay. And she worked as a waitress, and they lived there until he graduated from high school.
An amazing story, an amazing journey. And your journey is just as intriguing. With your museum, are you interacting with different agencies and organizations in the area? Do you have support from the area, or do you, when you say you travel abroad, is most of your support with your museum elsewhere? What does that dynamic look like?
Well, unfortunately, I haven't had a lot of support from this immediate area.
Okay.
I had a friend who was interim director of the Gary Public Library, and I did 2 exhibits with her.
Okay.
But all the support that I get is from other places.
But after this program, we're sure there's going to be an uptick of people wanting to see these incredible artifacts.
I hope so.
But as you were saying, I had to throw that in there.
So, you know, I've been to New Mexico State University. I've been to...
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Several places around the country. Last year, 2020, I had things lined up, but because of the COVID situation,
yes, I understand.
We could not do that. So some people called me from Joplin, Missouri, because Joplin will be celebrating their 200-year anniversary in February.
Okay.
So a professor at a college there, Southeastern Missouri State University, has asked me to come to join them there and participate in their celebration. So we have several things that are promising.
Well, do you find more support from the collegiate level? Do you find community organizations? Who is attracted to this museum more from your recent past? Who has reached out to you more to inquire about these incredible artifacts and the stories that you have to offer?
Well, I would have to say at this point it's about half and half.
Okay.
Individual organizations, civic organizations, and collegiate organizations as well.
That's incredible. With what you have here today, what would be the most near and dear artifact to your heart? If you can only walk out, of course you're going to walk out here with all of these beautiful pieces, but if you only could walk out with one, what would be the piece that's the most dear to you?
The typewriter.
I would tend to agree with you on that. That typewriter has gotten my attention since it was unboxed and put on display in this room. Are there any pieces that you know of that were, I wouldn't say penned, but were typed or created on that?
I couldn't say for sure, but that is a Corona manual portable typewriter before the companies of Smith and Corona merged.
Yes.
This was the typewriter from 1926.
Unbelievable. It's an incredible shape. We're going to have to get some close-ups and share it with our audience. It's a time capsule today, is what it is actually, and thanks to the Langston Hughes Family Museum, this is an incredible experience. I'm looking at pictures with Maya Angelou with Langston Hughes. Am I correct? I saw a photograph there, and that's his hat there. Absolutely incredible. So listen, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to get some more close-ups. I'm sure that, you know, because I'm on this end of it, we've gotten some close-ups throughout our interview, but I want to make sure we get some of these most important items, so please don't leave. We're talking to Marjol Rush Collette. She's the executive director and curator of Langston Hughes Family Museum. We'll be right back.
It's gross. I don't really want to talk about it. She didn't want to at first, but I mean, it's no big deal. Everybody does it.
I was ready. totally ready because we have been practicing this dance for weeks.
He was supposed to take this girl to this dance, but
I sprained my ankle at track practice.
I hate sharing anything personal. It's so disgusting. For the dance, I let her wear my shoes and she hated it, but I thought she looked great in them.
he could barely even walk.
I ended up taking some pills for my pain.
Yeah, they were my mom's, but
it didn't go well.
If it's not yours, if it's not yours,
if it's not yours,
hey you.
Don't take it.
Don't take it.
Don't take it.
Don't take it. You won't believe what happened next.
And we're back, folks. I'm Mark Spencer. I'm the host for today's program for the West Side Theater Guild Black History Month program. And with us on set today is Marjorie Rush Collette. She is the executive director and the curator for the Langston Hughes Family Museum. This has been an incredible time today. And as I was studying Langston Hughes' work as a child, I was exposed through his view, his point of view, his perspective, if you will, the way he interpreted America during his time in the 50s, if you will, 40s or what have you. It was very impactful because reciting this material, and as I mentioned in the earlier segment, I Too Sing America, is very poignant. It's very poignant today. What do you think the true legacy is for the public, if you will, of Langston Hughes today and in years to come?
You know, that's kind of a difficult question to answer. For people that understand and people that are truly interested in Langston Hughes, I was talking to a young person not too long ago, and they mentioned that, oh, gee, we didn't learn much about Langston Hughes. But keep in mind that when Black History Month was created, it was a day.
That's correct.
Then it went to a week.
That's right. Yep.
Then now it's a month. And people say, I've heard people say, yeah, but we have the shortest month in the year.
Right.
Well, I don't care if the month is 13 days or 28 days or 29 in leap year.
Right.
The object is to be able to honor those people that have contributed to Black life in America.
Sure, absolutely.
And keep in mind that before we were Black, before we were African Americans, we were Negroes, we were colored. So these are things, so I think that Langston's contribution, he saw things in a different way. He understood that, you know, life was going to change. He was well ahead of his time.
He was
well ahead of his time. So now we have to be able to deal with things in the way, and of the things that have happened recently in our country.
Yes.
People ask me all the time, oh, what do you think Langston would think? I think that he would think, how very disheartening, how very rude for somebody to put something like this on us. No matter what, we are all Americans. We all come from the same person.
Yes.
The brotherhood of man. So we all have to think about that. And I'm not trying to say things that put people at ease, that are not easy.
I understand.
You know, but we have to understand that we all come from one place. We all, and I don't care what color your skin is. So Langston, you know, when I think about it, people of color, during the days of slavery, and the massa would go down to the slave quarters.
I understand.
This is why we are all different colors. This is the reason why. So if we think that, oh no, we don't have that in our family, and I like to tell people, and I like to say in my presentations, there's somebody in your family that looks like me, and there's somebody in my family that looks like you.
I see. No, I mean, this has been very enlightening. I would very much like to have you back to talk about the playwright Langston Hughes and being a stage director myself and staging his work and possibly collaborating, and once all of this is lifted, maybe producing some of his. What is your favorite, if you have one, of his spoken word stage pieces that you're aware of?
Oh God, that's a hard question. That's a test question, Mark.
Well, I mean, if
I don't have a favorite, because you see, I like them all.
No, of
and
course.
I like them all equally.
No, I understand. And with that, it would be wonderful a year from now to go through all of the archives and to go through all of the literature and to stage some of his work, even if it's a radio style where we would sit around and it would just be audio and we would do it for a podcast. I mean, we don't want to miss the link, okay? We're aware of Maya Angelou, we're aware of others. This man is a giant, being a Harlem Renaissance writer and contributor. And what you're doing, you're basically the torchbearer for this man's name and for his work and his legacy from your vantage point and from your institution that you created. And you're to be celebrated for that. And we appreciate that contribution. But next steps are moving forward. What we should be thinking about is collaboration with staging this material.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to propose, please, on camera, how we could further the discussion and making more young people aware of this man, his contributions. How can we get together and make it absolutely palatable and attractive and alluring for a new generation? So hopefully you'll consider that.
I would love to do that. I would love to do that.
I want to thank you again for this. I'm sure our guys have gotten all of this incredible and footage of this incredible material and artifacts. I want to thank you for coming in today. In passing, we've been talking about this forever. And what I'd like to do, I'd like to leave contact information so people can actually schedule to see this incredible work and institutions can reach out to you. And would that be all right?
Mm-hmm. That'd be fine.
I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, and thank you for sharing your heart with this museum with us today. So folks, listen, it's been incredible. I wish you were in the studio. You can just feel this gentleman's presence. It's amazing. It's amazing, the contribution and actually being a part of it. Today's guest has been Marjorie Rush Collette, and she's the executive director and curator of the Langston Hughes Family Museum. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Folks, listen, don't turn that dial. We have more product and media coming your way from the West Side Theater Guild. We'll be back in just a moment. Thank you.
You know, when I think about my own experience with COVID-19, it really troubles me, almost pains me to hear people talk about it being just a hoax. Long before they had any of the information about the disease, I contracted it. And the interesting part about it was that I had to go to the ER twice. And they didn't diagnose it either time. Ultimately, I got a test and it was diagnosed after I was recovering. But here's what I want people to understand. When folks talk about washing hands, the wearing of masks, the importance of social distancing, all of those things are extremely critical. And I think that we have had so many deaths from this disease throughout our country because people really don't take it seriously. If you look at other countries, they've been compliant. They are back to what their normal is. But when you look at the U.S. and when you look at even Indiana, people are really hesitant to be in compliance because they say that it violates their freedom. The question I ask people is, do you simply want the freedom to die?
Hey folks, thank you again for taking this journey with us as we explore our work for the WSTG TV Black History Month celebration. This piece I wanted to include, it's entitled The Book Thief. I partnered along with the Gary Literacy Coalition to produce this work. It was written by our friend Ben Clement, has a number of our students from the Gary Community School Corporation. I thought it'd be fitting for Black History Month. So do enjoy and don't turn that dial.
Who is it? Oh, Lord, these feet, Jesus. I'm coming. Hold your horses. Who is it? Whoa, hold on. Excuse me?
Oh, hi. You excuse?
No. It's common courtesy to await a formal invitation before barging into someone's home.
We invited. His coach sent him.
His coach? What are you talking about?
Basketball. Coach say if Kyron can't read, he can't play. Guess you're supposed to help him. Ooh, this is cute.
Put that down.
What kind of glass is that?
Waterford Crystal. Now put it down before you break it.
Crystal? That's my name. Freaky.
I'm sorry, Crystal. There must be some misunderstanding here. I quit teaching years ago.
Using over your clock, ain't you?
Yes,
Then
but
ain't no misunderstanding. Coach Rondell say if Kyron can't read, he can't get no scholarship, can't sign no contract, can't make no LeBron money, and can't buy me no house.
Does he speak?
Yeah.
Oh, I can speak. Just can't read, it's all.
I'm sorry, son. That's absolutely tragic. But like I said, you've come to the wrong place. I can't help you. I've retired years ago.
I'm up. Let's go.
Hold on, wait a minute. We ain't going nowhere. Look, Miss Clark, Coach Rondell say you his teacher back in the day. Say you some kind of legend, best he ever had. He said you could teach a mule to conjugate verbs. Made him the man he is today. Well, if you could do all that, then surely you can help Kyron.
So he can play basketball?
So he could be a daddy for this here baby.
Ooh, you kids amaze me. Having children when you're just babies yourselves.
Baby? Who you calling a baby?
Look, I spent 42 years in front of a classroom, grading papers, planning lessons, trying to talk sense. May as well have been talking to a brick wall. Oh, I got through to a few, like your coach. Maybe more than a few. Still don't change the fact that over the years, something got lost. Somehow, some way you kids quit listening, quit coming to class, quit doing your homework, quit respecting your parents, your teachers, yourselves. In the end, you all just quit. So after 42 long years, so did I.
That's fine with me. I ain't gonna waste no time with this old broke down decrepit anyway. I mean, seriously, baby, how's she gonna help us? She can barely help herself.
Carmen Glover, you apologize right now. She may be old as dirt, but you still supposed to respect your elders. Go on now, say you sorry.
Oh, Lord. Look at her. Not only is she old, she's senile too. Really?
You all right, Miss Clark? You need some water or your medicine or something?
Oh, don't mind me, children. I'm sorry. It just tickles me to hear an illiterate use words such as decrepit and senile. Do you even know what that means, boy? I know you can't spell it.
Don't need to. As long as I can put this here ball in that basket, I don't need nothing else.
I bet you can't even read the name on the back of your jersey, can you?
I know who it is. It's me. And once they read them papers and find out all the games I won, ain't that right, baby? They gonna know it's me too.
Now I know why you're so rude, angry, and belligerent. You don't know who you are.
Lady, you crazy. I'm Kyron Glover. I'm Beast of the East, King of the Court. I scored 29 points a game, yo. Am I right, baby? Am I right, baby? Everybody want me because I can't be stopped. Yo, I jump like Jordan. Yo, I run like Flojo. I cross over like Derrick Rose. Sorry about that. What kind of crystal you said that was?
Never mind the face, son. It's better we fix you.
Don't worry yourself, Miss Clark. I get it.
Yeah, Miss Clark, let her get it, because it hurts me to see you do anything. Matter of fact, what's wrong with you anyway?
Plantar fasciitis.
Plantar for who?
My feet hurt. All those years in front of a blackboard, I guess. But what hurts me worse is seeing you lost in the wilderness, son. You're drowning in ignorance. You kids want to be rappers, hip-hoppers, LeBron James. You want to be rich and famous and cool and anything else but educated. That's what got lost. That hunger, that thirst for knowledge. That's why I quit teaching. And that's why I'm going against my better judgment. I do what your coach asks. I'll teach you how to read and write. And maybe tonight even bounce a ball in someone's home.
Sorry about that.
About time.
I'll be your teacher, young man. But first, let me tell you a story. Have a seat, y'all. Have a seat. It's a story about people who were just like you, who couldn't read or write. Difference being, these people refused to remain trapped in their ignorance. In fact, some of them risked their very lives trying to escape it. It all happened long, long, long ago.
Jesus gonna be here. He's gonna be here soon. He's gonna cover us up with leaves and a blanket from the moon, with a promise and a vow and a lullaby for my brow. Jesus gonna be here. He's gonna be here soon. I'm not gonna do nothing but wait here. I don't have to shout. I got me no reason, and I got no doubt. I'm gonna get myself unfurled from this mortal coiled up world. Jesus gonna be here, gonna be here soon.
said done. Not a minute sooner.
I sure is starving.
Well, if you ate your breakfast instead of playing with it, you wouldn't be starving now, would you?
I can't help it. Grits tastes nasty.
Them grits make you big and stout, so you can work in the field like the rest of the men. Besides, Auntie Ma'am catch you wasting food, she liable to tan your head. You know kids starving back in Africa.
So... Okay, wait, stay aside. Get in there. No, you ain't getting in this mess.
What is going on in here? Y'all run around like a couple of pickaninnies.
Sorry, Auntie Ma'am.
Sorry.
Tot, are your chores done? Hogs slopped and chickens fed?
Yes, ma'am.
Then make yourself useful and fetch me some firewood. Sally, where's Jewel? I left her watching this pot. Lord knows you can't cook.
She's up at the big house, Auntie.
The big house? By herself? Oh, Lord, she know better. Tot, drop that firewood and go fetch that girl before something bad happen.
Oh, there she go.
Sorry I was late. Supper about done?
Never mind the stew, child. Where you been?
I was up at the big house. Never seen nothing like it. You won't believe it, Sully. It had rugs on the floor and glass hanging from the ceiling.
Have you lost your mind, girl? You ain't got no business being up there by that big house. Master Jeb found out, he'll bust out his bullwhip for sure.
That's just it. Master Jeb, the one in Botany. I was out back hunting mustard root when here he come up on his big old horse. First, he'd say, "Top of the day, ma'am." Then he'd tip his hat and swear I was pretty as a spring flower. Next thing you know, I'm at the big house. And just look at here, fella. Look what it give me. Silk cloth. Ain't it fetching? Nice.
Y'all get washed up for supper. I'll take this back tomorrow.
Why, Auntie? It's mine. Master say so.
What else he say? He say he give you something to do with this here cloth? Make something special for the big house?
Come to think of it, he might have mentioned it.
Can't you see Master got designs on you, child? I bet he give you a bushel full of new chores too, huh? See, he trying to keep you in that big house.
He say I was better suited for housework.
Master say anything, get what he want. And he ain't studying no housework. I'm taking it back tomorrow. You understand me?
Yes, but the cloth, I can't.
I said I'm taking it back. You and Sally get washed up for supper. Men's be in here soon. Tot, ring that dinner bell.
Shoot. Yes, ma'am, it's about time.
Hey, now, y'all slow down. It's plenty for everybody.
Hey, now. Plenty scrap after ours done eating. Then you gonna get over here. Go ahead, Renfro.
I sure don't mind waiting longer. She filled my bowl. Hey, it sure smell good, Miss Jewel. What you started with your finger?
Mind your manners, Renfro. Girls don't cotton such talk.
Is that so? Well, what float your boat, girl? Big old muscles like mine? See, picking cotton ain't all bad, huh?
Keep it moving. Food getting cold.
All right.
Is that enough, Eli? You got muscles too.
Thank you kindly, but I reckon she do it. You mind?
Of course not. Stew is stew no matter what.
Pardon me, but I beg to differ. I think stew tastes better with a pinch of chives and red pepper. Just like tomatoes, they grow bigger in black dirt. And spring flowers grow all because of the sun. Now, how you turn out more pretty than the rest of them guys? Ooh, only God knows that.
Keep it moving. Next.
Hey, where from? You see her? She finer than a black-ass Susan.
Seen her? I seen her first.
Yeah, but I don't think she cut out you like she done me. I think she even cracked a smile.
Boy, you crazy. Girl, that fine got her picked for any buck around here. What she want with a no-good cotton picker like yourself? Not long as Renfro around here.
I don't know about that, Renfro. When she find out I was good at cooking and gardening and plucking pretty flowers, she liable to haul off and jump the broom.
Is that so?
I'm afraid so.
Well, we'll just see about that. Hey, look at here, Drew. You ever seen nobody do this, guy?
Hey, boy, is you out your rabbit mind if you don't put that box down?
All right, Auntie.
Quiet down, now, quiet down. You watch this, Renfro.
What's going on, Auntie? What they doing?
Turn your head, Tot. They's courting or cutting a fool.
All right, y'all quiet. That's nothing, boy. I got something for you, little lady. Watch this.
Whoa. Not bad for a circus monkey.
Boy, who you calling monkey?
You.
Hey, now. Y'all break that up before Master Jeff come in here and horse whip the lot of you.
Sorry about that, Auntie. Didn't mean to cause any ruckus. I just want to show the lady where I stand, that's all.
Her name's Jewel. And if Master Jebediah Gilmore got anything to say about it, she be mine for sure. After all, I was the biggest, I was the strongest, and I picked more cotton than anybody here on this plantation. Master Jebediah want more bucks like Renfro working this field, he know what to do.
I fed to all the attention, boys. What girl wouldn't? Fact is, I was much too young and fancy-free to be hitched in about it. I got too much to do, to learn, and to see. Much obliged, but I appreciate it if y'all let me be.
Well, guess you heard the lady. Best we mosey on, Eli.
No, you go ahead, Renfro. I ain't done yet.
Boy, don't be hard-headed. The lady mine made up.
So is mine, Renfro. So is mine.
What is it, Eli? You want more stew?
I was hungry, all right, but it ain't for no stew. I was longing to know everything about you, girl. Like what makes you laugh? What makes you cry? What color is your fancy? What you got a hankering for? Is it a blue moonlight or a red sunset? Do you like sugar on your grits?
Wait. All I'm serving is his stew.
Come on, girl, don't do me like this. I was dying to know what's still your heart. Is it water lilies or spring flowers? You gotta tell me something, I'm begging.
Okay. You really want to know what moves me?
I do.
Words.
Words? What do you mean?
I mean, I like words. I like hearing them and speaking them, reading and writing them.
Shh, you can't talk that talk around here, girl. You get yourself killed.
Well, you asked.
And you crazy. I'm sorry. Go on.
You sure?
Sure as I've never seen somebody as pretty as you. Sure my heart, it never beat like this. Sure I never, ever would forget you no matter what. So yeah, I guess I'm sure. So go on, girl. Tell me more about these words of yours.
Eli, I can read.
Okay, I get that. Well, how?
Don't know. First I picked up a letter, Then I picked up a word here and there. Next thing I know, I was scratching whole sentences in the dirt and teaching others to do the same.
No, you can't do that. That's dangerous.
Now, don't nobody know. Long as Master Jeff don't find out, you won't tell, will you?
Of course not. I won't say anything, but who else knows? No. Who else you been teaching?
Watch this. Tot.
Joe, he's just a boy.
I know, just hold on. What's this, Tot? Cornbread. No, spell it.
Joe.
Just wait. Spell bread, Tot.
B-R-E-D. Cornbread.
Close enough. Okay, let's see. What else? Oh, Tot. What's this here? What's this thing you sitting on?
Chair. C-H-A-I-R. Chair.
Yes, that's awesome, Tot. Okay, let me see. Oh, what's that right over there?
Master. M-A-S-T-R. Master.
Well. Sure you smell good now. Everybody fed?
Yes.
How about you, young buck? Your belly full? Speak up.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Chalk that up to Aunt Mam's famous pork belly stew. I loved it as a suckling child. Loved it even more as caretaker on the plantation. However, pork bellies are not allowed on my dinner table. Snouts, entrails, pig knuckles, best fit for the pigs. Oh, and you people, of course. Nevertheless, I do keep you well fed and clothed and sheltered. Do I not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, then why, pray tell, is my generosity constantly met with betrayal? Old man Abel been working on this plantation since I was a little boy. Heck, I considered him part of the family. It makes me sad to announce to you that on this very night, old man Abel got caught trying to escape. Truth be told, he didn't actually run off, but we caught him scratching something in the dirt. Getaway map, I suspect. I hope that's all it was. I certainly hope it wasn't something far worse, like letters. The Negro mind is not developed enough to comprehend difficult concepts like reading, writing, and arithmetic. Any attempt to read would only overtax your already small brain and frustrate you to no end. And so I forbid it. And how do I punish slaves I catch trying to read? You tell me, young buck.
Yes, sometimes.
You hang them.
That's right. I string them up. I string them up. Religion's too good for old man Abel, so I cut off a few toes and fingers for good measure. You hear that? Those church bells aren't ringing for Sunday service because today ain't Sunday. They symbolize another slave swinging in the wind. Oh, man Abel, those bells toll for thee. You think Jebediah Gilmore's a bad master? You think he's unfair? You think he's cruel? No such thing. I'm simply a businessman. Negro just had to confess, and I might even pardon him. I guess he just wasn't able. He wasn't able.
I like to see him swing at a wind.
Watch your mouth, bro. Who listening?
Auntie, what's wrong?
Lord, not able. Lord, not able.
Auntie, he gone now. No little cotton picking for him or nothing. He's free.
I'm so sorry, Auntie. I didn't realize you and old man Abel were so close. I never even seen you swap looks, let alone a word.
We swapped hearts, child.
way back when I was your age. Since then, I never let a day go by without hand holding, walking, sharing a piece of fruit. Lord, how that man loves his nectarine. Take a big old bite and wait for me to wipe him clean. Kept it a secret all those years since I ended up here at the big house. Now the only husband I know is dead and gone. Dead and gone. Soon I will be done with the trouble of this world, the trouble of this world. Oh, the trouble of this world. Soon I will be done with the trouble of this world. I'm going home to live with God. Oh, no more weeping and wailing. No more weeping and wailing. No more weeping and wailing. I'm going home. I'm going home. I'm going home to live with God.
Why so sour, Auntie? I looks that bad?
Ain't you, child? You was pretty as ever. Even more fetching in this here dress. Master Jeb won't be able to keep his hands off you.
Master Jeb is a married man. What he want with me?
Like any man, he want what he want and then some. Wedding ring don't stop that. You be careful at that big house, you hear?
I've been there nearly a week. Master barely looked my way.
Like I said, you best be ready. You remember what I learned you, girl?
Yes'm. Stay close, do my work, mind my business.
And
never ever get caught sleeping or by my lonesome. You think I should put a ribbon in my hair?
Pay attention, child. Your life depending on this. Won't be long before Master Jeb make his move. And when he do, you bite your tongue and don't you say a word. You hear?
Yes, sir.
No matter what, you keep still and don't you fight.
I won't. Who know, Auntie, ma'am? Maybe I'll just clean house and then let me be.
Loves you like my own, child. No matter what happened, that'll never change.
I can't wait for the men to come in from the fields. I got something special in mind for supper.
I know what's on your mind, child. You stuck on that Eli.
I just got a taste for some fatback and hoppin' John is all.
It's okay, Jewel. Auntie man been young once. Ain't nothing wrong with following your heart. But you remember, when Master Jeb set his sights, it can't be no other. Now step on up here and let me see that hem, girl. Turn around.
If this were mine, I would place at your feet all that I've owned.
I'll give you flowers, the birds and the bees, and with your love beside me, you can have anything if this world was mine. You can have anything. Give me pretty loving, baby. Give me pretty loving, sugar. Keep on loving me, baby. Oh, 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 oh. I need you, baby. You're all I need more of you, my baby. Oh, yeah. Tell me that you be my own baby. Tell me that you stay with me, baby. Tell me that you live for me, baby. Yeah. I need you, I need you, I need you, I need you, I need you more. Yeah. I need you more. Yeah.
Eli, I was just thinking about you, and here you is. You hungry?
I was, but now I see you in that dress. I can't.
It's almost time to ring that dinner bell. You must be tired and sore from slaving in the hot sun all day. Let me fix you a
I don't
plate.
think you heard me, girl. I told you. All I need.
The sun done gone to your head and so just listen
Oh,
at you.
you just listen. I staking my claim here, girl. Want to make you my one and only. I'm fixing to tell Master and everything.
Eli, don't. I mean, wait. You know you can't tell Jebediah Gilmore anything. Least of all, something he don't want to hear.
What are you talking about? I got love for you, girl. The kind of love that drives men crazy. Don't really care what Master thinks.
Just listen at you. Master will lynch you just for looking at him. Lord knows what it'll do over such talk.
Lynch me. You don't want to walk around here reading and writing. You got top spelling everything but asparagus. And he gonna lynch me, he'll lynch you quicker for having an underground schoolhouse.
Hush. I can't do that no more.
Why not? You love teaching.
I know. It's nothing that brings me more joy, but I was up at the big house now. Master got me cleaning house.
Since when? Sure, you know what goes on up there. I'll be darned if I let that happen to you, baby.
Don't worry, ain't nothing gonna happen now. Calm yourself down before somebody hears.
Hear me, I don't care who hears me, Jewel. I kill any man in here who put a hand on you.
Okay.
I swear I will.
Okay. Let me stir you up some beans and cornbread. You like Hoppin' John, don't you?
Yeah. Like a bee loves honey, but yet and still. I gotta get you out the big house. Because I just want you teaching. And I want you happy. Because I need that.
You should see the look on Top's face. Whenever he learned a new word, he light up like a firefly. Sully and the others, they get a kick out of the alphabet, but Tot, he like a sponge. Remember when you asked me what I want? That right there. I want a man that loves words as much as I do. I want a man that longs to read and write like he needs air.
Well, then teach me. Teach me, Jewel. Teach me how to read and write.
It's only so much scribbling in the dirt I could do. If I'm gonna teach you how to read, I need books, real books, like the ones that Master Jeb keep up at the big house for his boys.
Is that right? How would I know which one that is?
Eli, don't you even think about it. Master will chop your head off.
Girl, he got to catch me first.
No, Eli, please stop playing. Just sit down and eat your food.
No, baby, keep it warm for me.
Eli,
I'll be back in 2 shakes of a house there. I promise I will.
Whoa, where are Eli going in such a hurry? Look like somebody shot him out of a gun. Precious Lord, have mercy.
What you doing down there, child? Lord, don't tell me y'all done got hitched.
I was hungry.
Boy, don't you start. You grab that pot and ring the bell. Julie, is supper about ready?
I was too scared to eat.
Nonsense, child. You as skinny as a jaybird. You and Sully go get washed up. Men's be in here soon.
Sure is a pretty dress, Jewel. Can I have one?
Jewel, you be careful with that dress. You saw that? Master with both of us senseless.
Yes, sir.
Here they come.
Hey, no Eli today? Well, guess who's serving no Renfro after all?
Keep your hands to yourself unless you want extra meat on your plate.
Oh, look at here. An unloved girl is an angry girl. What, Eli short on his manly duties today? Don't worry about it, Renfro here.
Renfro, if you don't take that plate and go on about your business, something bad gonna happen.
Okay, I was moving. But you remember what I say, Jules. Renfro love you right. Can't really help you, old lady.
Pay him no mind, child. Fool like to hear himself talk.
I ain't studying no Renfro. I was fretting over Eli. I'm afraid he might be in trouble.
Say your prayers, because here come trouble now.
Mercy me. Y'all eating again? I swear you just ate yesterday. Well, I sure hate to ruin your appetite, but I got some bad news. Someone, don't know who, someone done stole from me. Now, if there's anything that I hate, it's a good-for-nothing Negro with light fingers. Now, I intend to find out who it was, and I don't care if it takes all night.
Beg pardon, Master Jer, but what's missing? You short a chicken, a tomato or two?
No, ma'am, capon around me sure enough. Oh, hell, I'd chop a hand clean off for a string bean. No, this crime is much worse. This offense is so egregious that it torments my very soul. And I swear, by all things holy, those church bells will ring tonight.
Oh, can I have some Papa John, Miss Jewel? I sure is hungry.
What you doing, Eli?
That sure smell good. You sure is a good cook.
Where you been, Eli?
Who, me? Here? There? Nowhere, sir. Just lost track of time, I guess.
Just lost track of time, I guess.
Yes, sir. Sorry, boss.
Just lost track of time.
Yes, sir.
You ain't been over there by the big house, have you?
Don't believe I have.
Now, Eli, you know what's going to happen if I catch you lying to me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Have you dragged out and back and put a rope around your neck is what? Now, I'm going to give you one last chance, and I'm going to ask you one more time. Where were you, boy?
Nowhere, Master. Nowhere.
Gosh dang it. Now, somebody done stole from me, and I do believe it was you. Now, you don't have to confess right away, but until you do, I am going to horsewhip every Negro on this plantation. Do you hear me?
No, it was Eli, boss. He done it. I seen him up right by the big house right before supper.
Liar! You're a dirty liar! Stay out of it, Jewel.
That's good enough for me. Take this no-good, thieving piece of garbage out back and hang him.
No, Master, he ain't done nothing, I swear.
Now, why should I believe you?
Because I done it.
You.
Master Jim, please, sir, please pay her no mind, child. She's liable to say anything. She's so in love with this boy.
Hold on. Let's hear her out. Okay. Suppose you tell me exactly what it was you done, little lady. Enlighten me.
I took a book from your library, sir. I was the book thief. If anybody deserved to die, it's me.
Don't think I won't hang a woman, even one as pretty as you. But before I do anything rash, suppose you tell me exactly what book you took.
Sure. That's all right, Auntie. It don't matter no more. I took a school book, sir. The one your son learned his ABCs with.
Wrong! Girl, you must be head over heels in love to lie to me like that. It wasn't no school book. It was a Bible. It was this Bible. But you wouldn't know that because you can't read. Ain't that right? But old Eli, he knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted to steal the Lord's word and use it against me. But I saw you ditch that book, and you got caught. And now your black soul will burn in hell. Get him out of here.
There's nothing you can do, child. There's nothing you can do.
Girl, I ought to string you up for meddling in my business. No, I'm going to use you to warm my bed instead.
The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?
You give me that book this instant.
The Lord is the strength of my life. Whom shall I be afraid?
You give it to me, you hear me?
And when the wicked, even mine enemies and my foes, came to feed upon my flesh, they stumbled and fell.
You stop that reading, not another word.
And now mine head has been lifted up above mine enemies round about me, and therefore I will offer in this tabernacle sacrifices of joy.
You mind me, girl. You mind me now.
Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies.
Jesus gonna be here. He's gonna be here soon. He's gonna cover us up with leaves and a blanket from the moon, with a promise and a vow and a lullaby for my brow. Jesus gonna be here. He's gonna be here soon. I'm not gonna do nothing but wait here. I don't have to shout. I got me no reason, and I got no doubt. I'm gonna get myself unfurled from this mortal coiled up world. Jesus gonna be here, gonna be here soon. got to keep my eyes wide open.
You look like you've seen a ghost.
More like a ghost story.
Did that really happen? All of it? Your ancestors risked an awful lot to do something that you guys take for granted.
I'm sorry, but I can't see myself dying over no books. That's just crazy, man.
If you don't let Miss Clark teach you how to read, you crazy. At least somebody was listening.
I was listening. I heard every word. But I can't see being no slave hunting and pecking through no children's book. I mean, I'm too grown for that. Matter of fact, it's too late for me. I'm up. You coming? Well, suit yourself.
Don't give up on yourself, son. If your ancestors won't, neither will I.
I don't think I could do it.
You can do it. You gotta take it one day at a time. Are you ready? I believe in you, son. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
Lesson 1. Are you sure? It's gonna be a rough road, y'all. Here we go. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more backwards thinking. Time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There is so much hatred, war and poverty. The world won't get no better if we just let it be. The world won't get no better. We gotta change the game, just you and me. Wake up all the teachers to teach us the way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. 'Cause they're the ones who's coming up, and the world is in their hands. When you teach the children, teach them the very best you can. Oh, the world won't get no better if we just let it be. The world won't get no better. We gotta change the game, just you and me.
Hey folks, we're back. Welcome back to the newly christened West Side Theater Guild, or WSTG TV studio. Excited to talk to our instructors in the district and wonderfully talented individuals in the area. And with me right now is Mr. Josh Ishmael. He is our dance instructor for West Side Leadership Academy, West Side Theater Guild, and we have him via Zoom. Technology is awesome. Hey, Josh.
How you doing, sir? Yes, sir.
It's better than the CB radio, ain't it?
Yes.
Josh, I miss you, brother. How have you been, my friend?
I refuse to complain because things could be a lot worse, but I miss you and I miss people. I miss sharing space with people, but you know, we do what we got to do. Keep it moving.
I really appreciate you, man. So many questions, so little time. So I'm just going to jump right into it. And man, it is really, really awesome to see you. What did dance provide for you as a young man growing up in Gary?
It provided me an outlet. It provided me space to, more than anything, it provided me permission to be different. There's always so many like tropes and stereotypes that go around with negative connotations around men in dance.
Yes, yes.
And it gave me the confidence to kind of dismiss all of that and do something that actually made me feel good.
I'm telling you, Josh, having you on staff is essential because it's a balance and it shows that strength, and it's a linchpin on telling the full story of the dance experience. You know, for both genders, for various styles. It's a great marketing tool, to say the least, to have you have us, have you on staff to share your wonderful gifts. It is a wonderful attraction, and a lot of our young cats, our young men, are following in your footsteps. And I'm telling you, a lot of that is due to your awesome talent. So thank you for that, man.
Well, I had great men in front of me, much like yourself. You've been one of my teachers and people I've looked up to since I was 8 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
And Larry Brewer.
Oh, great Larry, yeah.
There were plenty of men, and Gary Abbott. There were just plenty of men in my life who were with dance or just associated to it that really helped to push that along.
Man, look, thank you for that. I'm humbled, and time is finite, I tell you, in terms of our lifespan. It's just wonderful to have these wonderful journeys, man, and these stories that we can catalog. Again, I wish I could just talk to you for an hour, but I'm gonna keep it moving, man. I'm just excited to see you. Tell me, brother, what are some of the, I guess, works that you've created that you're most proud of? If you had to put it on a resume, or if you had a B-roll of something, what's something that you put your hand on, your DNA is on, that you're most proud of?
One, not to even sound corny, but the students that have pursued anything that they're now like flourishing in, that's a really big thing for me.
Yes.
If they pursued dance, then that's great. If they didn't pursue dance, they took that discipline that we would always talk about, and they applied that to whatever they wanted to. I can now say I've got students that either pursue professional dance, veterinarians, lawyers, like to have that under my belt. And as far as personally, works that I've created that have been with like Bobby McFerrin or Donald Lawrence, or that have been the Chicago Cultural Center or the Museum of Contemporary Art. Like I'm glad to say, like personally, I've made work or been involved in work that has been at that level, and those students and what they're doing with their lives.
It's never, in my opinion, about going into the field professionally. It's about the experience, the interdependence, working together, the cooperative learning, team building. And this model just happens to be our performing arts discipline. You're touching lives, and you may have dentists on that stage. Yes, you might have a person that will be in Bolshoi or Alvin Ailey or whatever. We'll never know, but it's our job to put that opportunity on the table and give our best. And you've done just that, brother. I thank you for that.
I'm humble, sir. I'm humble.
Thank you. No, for real, man. Listen, I got one more question. Can I get you one more and get you out of here? Because I know you got important things to do. Thank you again for your time.
Could be a forever.
Why do you choose to come back to Gary, Indiana to teach?
Because that was what happened for me. We had older cats that came out of our situations that will come back and teach us, but a lot of the world didn't open up until I was gone. And so once it was really a thing of, I was like, oh, if I have this wealth of information that I can take back to them, they can do more than I've done. And that's really what matters most. I need you to outshine me, outgrow me, outdo me. And so it's really a big thing of, a lot of times with places like Gary or predominantly Black environments in the States, you're not taught to dream big, you're taught to dream practically.
Yes.
And it's that whole thing of, if people are paying me to travel the world, to point my foot and contract my back, then that should tell you that you can earn a living doing something, whatever it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so don't think that you need to go into the things that are only within your field of vision.
Powerful, man. Well put. You're speaking with a lot of wisdom to be so young. And yes, I have seen you since you were a little tyke. And you have grown to be an incredible force, a wonderful young man. Brother, I want to thank you for your time. And I can't wait till we see each other again soon, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Hey, folks, this is Josh Ishmael. He's the dance instructor for Gary Community Schools, Westside Theater Guild, Westside Leadership Academy's Performing Arts Department. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment.
WSTG TV.
With us now via Zoom, we have Miss Barnes. She is what I like to refer to as our head dance instructor of West Side Leadership Academy, West Side Theater Guild. Miss Barnes, hello.
Thank you so much for that introduction. It was beautiful.
Oh, my question for you is, teaching at West Side different from the Wirt Emerson experience? And if so, expound a bit. What do you think?
It was heart-wrenching, first of all, to leave Wirt Emerson. I had been there not as long as some of the other instructors, but I had been there about 6 or 7 years. So we were very blessed that when our department came over to West Side, they brought all of us. I was very excited about that. At our last concert at Wirt Emerson, I said, I said it on stage, I said, wow, I really hope they keep us over all together and bring us over as a chunk. And so I have to thank Mr. Spencer and the powers that be that brought us over as a chunk.
I'm so excited about the proactive nature of the department and how you're meeting the needs of the kids. And I wanted to ask you about this online course that you have. It's Research and Movement, a historical journey through early jazz dance, slavery in the 1930s, right? Yes. Why did you feel it was necessary or important even to include this course?
It is something that has been my passion in terms of teaching our children jazz history for years. And I wanted to be well equipped to give them the correct information and give it to them in a way in which I know that they would get the most out of it. So I came from that rich jazz history. I had it movement-wise, but I needed the academics to go with it. What I found that as I began to teach, that dancers, and especially our dancers, are not well aware of the jazz history in this country. Not only jazz dance, but jazz music. Our children don't know our history. They are always trying to find and pick up somebody else's history. Our history is the richest history in the world. That history is right there. They need to know that. Jazz history started in Africa. We brought those movements to this country. We blended these movements on the soil we were on, this American soil. That transitioned into slavery, things that we had to do in order to try to hold on to our rhythms and our movements. It transferred right on into the 1930s, and it's still happening today. They call something a jazz tree. Africa is the roots, and everything springs up from that. That's why I felt it was just crucial. The academics that are tied to that, the research that is required, writing not only research papers, but writing reflective essays. So you think about, well, this movement is tied to this dance, and it was done because this is what we needed to survive through slavery. This is what we needed to survive through the 1930s. This is what we needed to survive. Dance, like all arts, always echoes those things that are occurring around in society, that are occurring geopolitically, socially, spiritually. We are a reflection of that. So yeah, it is imperative that our children, now of course all children, but our children especially needs to know we have a rich, rich history. That community that they get by giving to each other, by supporting each other, by loving each other, by pulling each other along, that kind of feeling transfers from their little small dance community out to the community at large.
What I want to do now, I would like to take a quick look at some of your awesome work. Guys, Ms. Barnes, what she's done with the kids has been absolutely phenomenal, if you want me to tell you the truth. There's some cuttings, some pieces I'd like you to take a look at. We're going to continue to talk, and we want you to look at a piece from Black History Month. Take a look at that, folks, and we'll be back in just a moment with Ms. Barnes. She is the lead dance instructor for West Side Leadership Academy, West Side Theater Guild Performing Arts. That was inspiring. I'm serious. Those were our children, and you basically empowered them. That's it. That's incredible. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, thank you.
What a wonderful experience when you pulled everyone together, the kids, for that presentation. I'm sure you had a few challenges with synchronizing and schedules, and of course, perfection of performance. I'm sure that was a task, no?
It was difficult, especially that we didn't have as much time as I would have liked. But the kids, you know, I went and I said, hey, we've got to do this, and we need to represent this department. We need to represent so people know what we're doing here, and most important, that they learn from what we're showing them, that they are educated as well.
I agree. The execution of performance was incredible, and as are you. Thank you so much. We're gonna be back in just a moment. We've been with Miss Barnes. She's our lead dance instructor for, of course, our department and dancing for Westside Leadership Academy, Westside Theater Guild. Stand by. We'll be back in a moment. Back in the fall of 2017, our community came together to honor a great, great man, Richard Gordon Hatcher. He became the first African American to win office of a large industrial city. And we want you to take a look at some of the highlights from that most exciting evening.
To many, Gary is a city of steel. Through good times and tough times, some will always see her that way. For many of the people in Gary, Richard G. Hatcher will always be known as mayor. Through good times and tough times, some will always see him that way. And why not? His has been a life of service to the people of this community. Born Richard Gordon Hatcher in Michigan City, Indiana, this native son would rise to prominence in a manner that neither he nor his family could have foreseen. He was the youngest of 13 children. His father, Carlton, worked for Pullman Standard, manufacturing railroad cars, and his mother, Catherine, was a factory worker. As a Depression-era birth, his obstacles were many, the least of which were his working-class roots, modest resources, and blindness in one eye. In high school, he excelled at track and field and football. Utilizing these natural talents, he parlayed them into an athletic scholarship at Indiana University. He went on to earn his law degree at Valparaiso University in 1959, and shortly thereafter was admitted to the Indiana bar. None of us is born an activist. That transformation is a process. We may see the injustice all around us, but when do we choose to act for the betterment of others? For Richard G. Hatcher, the transformation was subtle, and it began at Indiana University and intensified at Valparaiso. He helped organize sit-ins to end segregation in Indiana's restaurants. These acts of protest led him to consistent volunteer work with the NAACP. The law was Richard's strength, a tool that he hoped to master, and he built his early career upon that foundation. First, a private practice, then Lake County Deputy Prosecutor from 1960 to 1963. Politics came through necessity. Looking to better the community in which he lived and labored, he soon found himself a councilman at large on the Gary City Council from 1963 to 1966. In this post, he labored to improve housing, education, and health care for the city's poor. There were institutional obstructions that hindered prosperity for so many of the people in the community where he toiled. Privately at first, and then more publicly, he began to think the unthinkable. He pondered something that conventional wisdom would scoff at. He dared to wonder, aloud, could I change the quality of life here if I was mayor? From thought to action, he mobilized an underdog campaign that would shock the nation. In 1967, a decade plus before Harold Washington would pull off a similar shocker, Richard G. Hatcher did the improbable. He went up against incumbent A. Martin Katz and defeated him in the primary. The general election, he won with 95% of the black vote. He would later joke, "I don't know how I lost the other 5%. At his swearing in as mayor in January of 1968, Richard said, "Gary is a rising sun. Together we shall beat away. Together we shall turn darkness into light, despair into hope, and promise into progress. For God's sake, for Gary's sake, let's get ourselves together."
I can't name all of the people who worked so hard from that first campaign and really challenged the existing structure in Gary, and which was segregated, which basically was oriented to helping those who had a lot and not helping those who didn't have much. For many of the young blacks in the city, my being elected, it was an inspiration on election night. I'll never forget the night, because our headquarters were up around 20th and Broadway. It was right next to our law office, where our law office was. That area, that entire street, was simply jammed with people. There were just people, wall to wall people out there, and people were literally dancing in the streets.
Richard was elected mayor of Gary in 1967. He was sworn into office in January of 1968, and he remained in office for the next 20 years. He was briefly an advisor on urban regeneration to Lyndon B. Johnson's administration. As mayor, he used that service to help Gary become a major recipient of federal funding. He used the funding to help with housing, poverty, and crime during his mayoral tenure. Being the mayor always had its challenges: rapidly changing demographics, a downturn in the steel industry, the Jacksons moved to California, but it was family that grounded Richard. On August 8, 1976, Richard married Ruth Ellen Marie Rolls. Fatherhood followed soon after. Daughters Reagan Heather, Rachel Catherine, and Renee Camille gave his life deeper meaning and deeper resolve. 5 terms in office and a rich legacy for both Gary and for America.
Well, I think that, again, if there's anything that I would want to be remembered for, would not be the fact that I am a Negro as such. I would like for it to be known that I was the very best mayor that the city of Gary has ever had, and that I was able to be the kind of mayor who was concerned about the problems of all the people in the city of Gary, no matter where they might live.
I'm so grateful to the people of Gary, and so grateful to those wonderful people who had the courage at the beginning to support me and were willing to support me for mayor. And now, 50 years later, we are celebrating the anniversary of that election.
There were other undertakings: organizer of the 1972 Black Political Convention, law professor, presidential campaign advisor, icon for black empowerment. Too many, in fact, to do justice here. Richard Gordon Hatcher. For a generation and counting, he will always be mayor.
Well, I came from Memphis, Tennessee, and I was looking for where I could start a business. I named it E. Flowers and Sons Electric. After Mayor Hatcher got the seat, things leveled off. It got better. The contractors that live here got first choice. I was able to get a lot of work, and we was able to do city work under him. He was a man that actually knew what the city of Gary needed, and he was really able to level the playing field. He was a man of vision, and he was definitely ahead of his time.
Jesse Jackson is a civil rights activist, Baptist minister, and a 2-time candidate for U.S. president. Born in Greenville, South Carolina, he now stands as a national figure in the struggle for equality. In Selma, Alabama, he marched with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., eventually becoming a worker in King's Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Leaving school to work for Dr. King, he was appointed director of Operation Breadbasket, the economic arm of the SCLC. During those years in Chicago, he developed a close relationship with Richard Hatcher. That relationship is almost as legendary as his relationship with the late Dr. King. Who better to open a window into that world than the man himself, ladies and gentlemen, the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
We give praise and honor to God tonight, allowing us to gather here 50 years later. I want to ask all the ministers, please stand. Give the ministers a hand, won't you please? All ministers, please stand. Give it up for the ministers. It's not just the speed of Mayor Hatcher, but the obstacles he overcame. It was not a track meet, it was an obstacle course, many courses. We came here in 1619. For 246 years, humanity was legally unaccepted. We got the right to vote in 1870, 5 years after the 13th Amendment. Taken back 10 years later. The Voting Rights Act was regained in 1965. Vance was the first African-American mayor in American history, not just Gary. He was the first African-American mayor in American history. I say obstacles because Dr. King, Reverend Sampson said, we're finished with Selma, can we go up north? That was the debate, what would the northern marches look like? Well, march to the polls in Gary, Indiana, and Cleveland, Ohio. There was something so different about Gary and Mayor Hatcher in that Dr. King was coming here, and the blacks who were caught up in the labor and liberal machine rebelled against Dr. King coming to Gary. And they'll struggle to maintain liberalism over liberation. And so Dr. King was coming here. There would have been a protest against his very presence in Gary, Indiana. And so Dr. King could not come to endorse Hatcher. He had to go to the radio station to say, I don't live in Gary, I don't endorse, but if I did live in Gary, I would endorse Mayor Hatcher. He came into Gary through that radio station. We thank Dr. King for his wisdom and for his leadership. Where do we go from here? Go north. In 2 years, we will have been here 400 years. Had a mayor 50 years ago. Mayor Hatcher, an unusual level of moral authority. Only Hatcher could have convened the National Convention in this place in 1972. Every divergent element in America came together. It said that great leaders plant seeds. They grow trees under whose limbs they will never sit, nor whose leaves they will never see. He planted the seeds, has grown the tree. Now all these mayors in America tonight, that's all trees from the Hatcher tree. They gave me the awful assignment one hot Sunday afternoon, August 6, 1976, was it 72? Had to go down to Boonville, Missouri. Marry him and Ruth, it was 100 degrees down there. We drove, it seemed like all little two-lane highways between Gary and Boonville, Missouri. And there I had the honor to marry him and Ruth, and they still married. I did a good job.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been my honor hosting this program. And we've had an opportunity to see some incredible performances by our young people. And I've often said, I learn more from them than they could possibly learn from me. So I want to thank you for your continued support, supporting our theater program, the Gary Community School Corporation, and realizing that we have brighter days ahead. Carter G. Woodson, many decades ago, began this process with Negro History Week. And fast forward 1976, as I understand it, it became a national holiday and recognized from that year on. Many accomplishments, many great roads ahead. We thank you so much, and thank you for taking the ride with us. Godspeed.
Come on, hey, y'all, since it's Sunday, y'all yeah. Come on, stand up on your feet and praise the Lord with us. Come on. Come on, where my saved people at? Come on, get up on your feet. Clap your hands, come on. Come on, y'all know the song, sing it with us. Sing it. I've been down.
I've been down so long. I've been hurt for so long. There were times I thought I'd never see the break of day. It was hard for me to see your plans for me. And I tried to believe, but it won't last always. Night after night, night after night, night after night. I pray Lord don't take the joy from me. It late one night. It late one night. I read in your love letter that it's gonna get better. So that I've been looking for you.
I didn't know this song.
Nothing else was
Here we go, some more. I said that. Sing it.
I'm so glad I found you. Now that I'm changed, no one can keep me away.
Clap your hands up. 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 Come on, come on. Say your words, come on.
My enemies tried to come for me. They thought that my world was coming to an end.
All the while you knew that I would make it through.
Make it through. Walking closer to you now than when I first began.
Jesus, you are.
Jesus, you are. Jesus, you are. Jesus, you are. You are my sunlight after the rain. Wherever you are, I just wanna be near you. I'm so glad
Don't you know?
that I've been looking for you. I realize nothing else will satisfy me. I'm so glad I found you. Now that I'm changed, no one can keep me away.
Go on, do it again.
I've been looking for you. I realize nothing else will satisfy
Have some fun, lady.
me. I'm so glad I found you. Now that I'm changed, no one can keep me away.
Here we go now. Here we go now. Here we go. Yo, ladies.
WSTG TV.